Y'all, as always, it is we are back, for another audio occasion. It is the podcast for self-starters and those willing to make the most out of any situation. EFS podcast back in the house, and I like the hip-hop legends giving us great quotables, so we're going to go for another one on our lead-in audio for the day. Let's get to it. Come on, Ice.
I don't feel like it's cool to, if I'm doing something cool and you don't notice, I don't think I should be shoving it in your face and just telling you how cool it is. I think it should be noticeable or I'm not doing my job.
Okay.
So, to me that's better. It's better for somebody to be like, oh, damn, I see you got them new shades on. You know what I mean? You got that new watch. Damn, that's hard. Yeah. Instead of me saying, hey, y'all, look, y'all see this? Nigga?
See this?
All right, yeah, give me my props. What's happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Y'all see this? It's like, that's corny to me. It's better if everybody know what I could do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't know, then to me, you out the loop.
Yes, sir.
Let that sink in on the way in. And as we said, once again, we are back for another audio occasion, a podcast for self-starters and those willing to make the most out of any situation. The EFS podcast is back. We got one air horn, two air horns, a couple more air horns, and an abundance of air horns on the way in. Also, a round of applause for the gang. Appreciate y'all coming to check out another episode. Where we at? Episode number 40? Episode number 40
Number
now.
40, y'all. We here, man. We made it. Look
We
at
just
that,
had a conversation for our pre-pod to the
How did we
Spotify
get here?
viewers and
Where
listeners.
am I?
If you look around, some of these pods don't make it to 40, man.
You know what I'm
They
saying?
don't make it to 40.
Legendary stuff going on over here, man. 40, man. Big
Facts, but
4-0.
we are here. I'm your host,
Give
D
him a 40
Burke, the
piece.
man, the myth, the legend, Mr. EFS himself. We got Waldo Black in the house
Hi,
for
just
another
your friendly
episode.
neighborhood Waldo. Just here.
Friendly neighborhood Waldo? I thought you said Philly neighborhood Waldo.
No, friendly.
Oh, all right. I'm about to say, when you switch sides.
No, I'm a New Yorker all day, every day. But
And in
friendly
the
neighborhood
house
Waldo.
today, we have another special guest to the couch. Been really, really excited about getting this person on since we spoke about the dates and all that. We had to push back.
Yeah, we did.
She double booked herself, and
Busy woman. I mean, she knows what she's doing.
She's got a lot of things going on apparently, which we'll get into in a moment. But we will fade out our theme music and we'll open things up. We got Presilah Nunez-Davis.
Come on, give us some round of applause over
Round
there,
of
man.
applause
Come
for her in the
on.
house.
Thank you.
You made that sound like it was a small task right there.
No, we going.
Big
but we
legend
going.
over here. Big
Big
legend.
Should we actor, right?
Sure.
Not
well,
actress. We can't do actress no more. That's off the table. That's
True, I guess. Yeah.
you don't care about that.
I don't care. No.
Well, you may have seen her
Mhm.
on shows like The Haves and the Have-Nots.
Wait, I didn't realize. I didn't realize you're gonna read my resume.
We're not gonna go to the whole resume.
Okay.
We just,
Were you
just
like
a
on
couple.
IMDb or something?
Yeah, we had a couple from
Okay.
IMDb, and we spoke about this before. I told
We
you.
did. No, we did. But I'm curious to see what's on there myself.
Oh, so you haven't looked at your IMDb?
No.
It's like a
Oh,
thing.
wow,
I guess
that's
it's like
interesting.
basketball play. Like I don't really look
at your
around.
own stats?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to see what's out there. NCIS.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes,
well,
we
NCIS.
talked about that before. 911 Lone Star.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Designated Survivor.
Oh yeah, that was. A
Oh,
good
that
one.
was a good.
These are all actual, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I was going to stop there. I wasn't going to
Okay.
go
Yeah.
too, I guess too far down
Come
the list is
on
where the term the
now.
bullshit gets put in the.
No. I mean, there's more stuff on there, but
There's
I
a
was
lot-
Just like,
there's a lot of
yeah,
things.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
I just didn't know
things.
which ones you were gonna choose.
She's been
Yeah, no, we was
doing
going
it.
for the top, the headers.
She does the
the
damn
ones right up
thing.
there. But one more time, round of applause for Presilah Nunez-Davis back in the house.
Thank you.
She,
Fun to be here.
as we
Thanks for
spoke
having
about, actress, actor, whatever you want
Yeah.
to talk for the PC people, we
I'm so
understand that.
excited
But
about this, man. Awesome.
Yeah,
Hollywood.
Thanks for having me.
yeah, for sure. She's made her way out here to us. Well, she's been out here for a while. We have a years worth of history at this point. We'll get into all that as we go forward. But
Yeah, for sure.
a very interesting person, and I'm very excited to have on the pod.
Thanks.
Different
But
thinker.
before we
for sure.
transition into her, I just wanted to ask you, what are you wearing?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't even going to talk about it. I was going to let the people
Nah,
say.
I'm noticing something here, and I'm like, where's mine?
Chill. Chill.
Hey, yo, you
These
fly
are
over there.
samples.
Nah, you too fly
I'm
over there,
testing
man.
something to
You
see how
you
it goes going
testing it on the
forward.
pod. I'm over here looking bummy over here. You over here looking good.
But if you
man.
did see the hoodie, I guess
EFS
we'll
merch.
talk about it because it's probably gonna be a thing
Yeah,
going
man.
forward soon. We spoke about it early this year. Sometimes things get a little pushed to the back burner with everything else. But headed towards the end of the year, we did speak about merch coming out. There will be EFS merchandise, which will be specifically tied to an initiative that I'm going to be releasing at some point.
Nice.
So this will be one of the hoodies. It'll be available for purchase. And if you support the gang, then yeah.
Yeah, man.
It
It looks really good. I like that.
I like how it came out.
Yeah.
Shouts to Lonnie from Creatives Only. He definitely, we collaborated on this, and he got it done for me.
I'm trying to figure. Is that Ali?
Yes.
Okay,
It is the Muhammad Ali when he knocked out
yes.
Sonny Liston's ass, and it's one of the most iconic sports photos.
Yeah, of all time.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna call it, but I'll be releasing different shirts, hoodies with iconic sports moments on them. And not even just sports, but when we branch it out, it'll get to other things, but just iconic moments with our logo, EFS.
I love it.
Kind of like, watermarked into it a little bit,
Yeah.
just to represent the brand, but also tie into moments that I found dope. Athletes, entertainers, just people who have
Successful
really impacted.
moments.
Yeah, successful moments. And when, this came out, it was a big thing. Muhammad Ali was one of my favorite athletes. We spoke about that on here before, but but we'll get to the details on all that when we get to it. But yeah, this will be one of the hoodies that we first released. So if you like it, then reach out and support, because we appreciate all kinds of support.
Yeah,
and especially the ones where you like, comment, and subscribe.
You want one? Like
comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll let you know when these drop for sure.
Nice.
But check in with everybody. How you doing, Waldo?
I
know you say you was tired on the way in today.
I just want to say I'm okay.
He's okay.
I'm just like, it's been a long week, and I didn't get enough time to kind of get my R&R on. Like, I'm doing a mental check-in. I'm like, did you get time for you, kid? And I'm like, no, I didn't. Didn't get enough time for me. But that being said, I still know that things have to get done, so the responsibilities have to get taken care of, and then I'll transition to get my time somewhere else. And I'm not opposed to taking a mental health day. I'll call up and say, look, I'm not coming in. You will not see me.
I wish that luxury is one I love to push the button on.
Yeah.
If I had the opportunity to allow more.
Some people don't have it, but I'm blessed that
No,
I
for
can.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Use them days, folks. Use them days.
I will take a mental health day if I need to. At this point, it's not the DEFCON 4 yet, but I'm gonna make sure I try to get that after we finish the episode and get some time.
Are you like an introvert? No, I don't want to say an introvert, because I'm sure other people do too. But do you need time alone in order to recharge?
Alone is different for me, because I need time. It's more so about what I'm not doing than what I am doing.
How you choose to spend your time.
It's like I need my time to be mine.
Okay.
I don't want any external factors controlling what I'm doing.
Okay.
I can be around other people.
Okay.
But if I'm in control of what's going on for me, then we're fine. But if you tell me, okay, you do this for me, it's distracting from the entire process of me getting my time.
That makes sense.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. But again, being honest. This is a podcast. We talk about being open, being transparent.
No, for sure.
So
people
that's
need to hear
the
that.
truth. That's
People,
where I'm at. You know what I mean? You're gonna get a different Waldo today.
So basically, Waldo said his presence is a present today.
Yeah, exactly.
So be happy he's here.
I'm here for you, man.
He could have called out on you.
Only
more
for
or
you,
less.
EFS fam. Only for you.
Hey man, we here for great convo, because I'm really excited to see how this one's gonna go. There's very few people that I reached out to. I reached out to a lot of people, but there's very few people that I reached out to where I'm like, I don't really know how this conversation could go.
Yeah.
And this is one of them, because
I take that as a compliment.
it is.
it's a
It is.
huge
It's a big
compliment.
compliment, just because we've had convos outside of here for sure, and they always end up being a lot of like substance, but
thought provoking.
also outside of the box of what most people would look at in that situation.
Nice.
Nice. And maybe you don't even remember some of the combos we had, but I always walk away from them like, yo, that was like, she said some shit right there that made me think, and I'm like, all right, bet, yeah,
That's wonderful.
I like that.
yeah.
What about you? How are you feeling? I'll pass it on a little bit.
I mean, I hate to say I'm good, because it's just like a generic, but yeah, I'm chilling.
That's awesome.
Hanging out.
Nothing wrong being good.
Yeah.
Sometimes all you need is a little good.
Yeah, I'm just there.
If you weren't good, would you say it though? That's the real question.
Probably not.
That's that. Well, I hope you feel better.
And we've
That's all I
had
say.
that talk with him
You know
before.
what I'm saying?
At
That's
some
what I'm
point.
saying. I asked that question. People don't ask that question.
Yeah. No.
They don't ask the like, if you weren't though,
Right.
how would we ever know? Like some people don't let the mask come down ever.
Yeah.
So I try to like just ask the question afterwards, and I'm gonna say, you know what? I know you said you were good, but since you said you wouldn't tell me if you weren't, now I gotta say I hope you get better. Like I hope whatever is beyond good, I hope you get there. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because I know I'm most days I don't say nothing. I'll say moderate. I'll say
Moderate.
I'm like, how you feeling today? How you doing today? Moderate. they're like, they're not
They don't know how to
expecting it.
respond to that. Yeah.
They don't know
yeah.
how to respond.
You gave it
I took them off the
and
track. They don't even
Yeah.
know. I'm weird though. I know I'm weird. Like I go to not McDonald's, Chick-fil-A,
Mhm.
and then instead of me saying thank you because they have to say my pleasure,
Yes.
I'll give them a compliment.
He messes up their script.
I give them a compliment, and I'm
Uh-huh.
just like, "Wow, you have really great customer service," and they'll say thank you, and I say my pleasure, and they go,
Wait, it's my job.
their whole track of it throws them off, right?
so
I love
basically
doing that. I'm weird though.
He's
I'm
the
weird
quintessential antagonist,
Yes.
as we've
Yes.
spoken about.
So we go back and forth.
For sure, for sure. But I guess as you're here, let's dive into, let's dive into you a little bit. I know we've spoken about things outside here, but I think it is a very interesting story that you have. So I kind of want to open up for the people. So I guess first off, let's talk about your past career, your past life, I guess, and how you got started in that. Like, what were your early influences? Like, where did you catch the acting bug, or as they would say,
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well,
Well, first off, tell them where you're from originally, because we have
yeah.
we kind of rival in that sense, but whatever.
Oh,
I am
right.
from Boston,
yeah,
Massachusetts.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
She's one of the only Boston people that I
and that's
actually
why you're wearing
fuck
green,
with.
huh? That's what
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even notice.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I'm from the North Shore of Boston. So, and it's funny when I tell people that they're like, "But you don't have an accent." I mean, do you want me to talk like that? Like,
Do I though? I
don't
don't
think
want
so.
to. Yeah.
But did you like
I don't think
filter
I
out of
ever
it, or
did. I don't think I ever did. It's funny though. My parents are still there, and every now and again, I'll get on the phone with them, and they'll say a few words that I'll like, oh.
Mm.
But I don't know why I never really did. I don't know if it's because I started acting really young.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but yeah, I'm from there, and what's your question?
Boston.
Like, where did it start for you?
Yeah,
Like, what were
when
your,
did the acting start?
Because
It
I don't even know
started-
this. I just know of you.
Well, it's funny. It started, I guess. How far back do you want to go? When I was like little, loved watching TV and imitating what I saw, and loved. I remember watching like the B-roll of the Little Rascals. At the end of the movie, with all like the B-roll, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
behind the
yeah,
scenes
yeah.
cut, and I remember watching it and going like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like they're playing pretend, and
Yeah.
I love telling stories. I love playing pretend. I was never into gaming or anything like that. I just loved playing school, playing restaurant, playing like make believe.
Mhm.
But and I was like 7 or 8 years old. I was a really shy kid on top of that too. So my mom got me signed up for some like summer theater camp, and then really the rest is history. I mean,
Okay. Dope.
I think for me, analyzing that, I think it allowed for me to not be shy because I was putting on a character,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense. It
Interesting.
wasn't me.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
So
entertaining.
by separating
Mhm.
yourself, kind of like mentally, you were able to like be somebody totally new,
Mhm.
and that took away all the shyness that
Mhm.
Priscilla has. Because I'm
Yes.
not Priscilla in those moments. I'm somebody totally different.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think that still holds true. So like sometimes when I'm coaching,
Mm-hmm.
like my natural essence a lot of times is not to be so engaging, but when I put on a microphone, I can
Yeah.
turn on the performance.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
I
a
would
thing.
I would say
There
that
it
too.
is.
It
Yeah.
rings true to myself as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more so of an introvert, and even as an athlete, as a basketball player, like I was even more introverted then. So it's like I'm
Mhm.
out here to do what I gotta do. Like, I can play the role, I can
Mhm.
smile, wave, shake
Ah.
hands, and all the other shit. But I'm not like a really people person. So
Mhm.
fast forward to when I got into coaching and really exploring that space for myself. It's like, you got to be in front of people, you got to talk, and so I'm like, you kind of have to put on a persona in a sense
Mhm.
that's not necessarily true to like your core, but also
Right.
like still authentic as an
Mhm.
individual.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%.
When did you know though that you had something like as a actor? Like you
Well-
knew, okay, this isn't just a hobby or something I can escape with.
I think when
could
I was in
actually-
high school, so
Yeah.
my parents were not entertainers,
Mhm.
and thankfully they got me involved in as much as I wanted to get involved in. They never pushed me to do it. I led the charge.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, where I grew up in the North Shore of Boston, there was this regional theater that had a really good education program for theater for kids.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And the licensing company, the main one in New York called MTI, They own all the licenses to a lot of Broadway shows. They started a division called the Youth Division or the Junior Division. And basically they were taking all these big Broadway shows. So think back then it was like, Les Miserables and like Ragtime, all these big, huge shows.
Yeah.
All these high schools around the country wanted to do them for their high schools, but they were getting all these different versions because you'd have like this high school teacher who would cut out this number because, that main character couldn't hit that note. And then you go across the country and the other high schools doing Les Miserables, but they were cutting out that number. It wasn't consistent. So MTI found a way, then probably monetarily too.
Always monetarily.
They decided to create school edition versions of these musicals and release like kind of packets that schools could buy, the license to the school edition version. So it cut out all the swearing and it cut out, all of the super high notes that maybe like prepubescent boys can't hit, like things like that. The education department that I'd been involved in at that theater was piloted a lot of those shows.
Wow.
So it was awesome, and it was like a perfect thing because you'd have all these New Yorkers who would come in to north of Boston to like work with us and tape us to go back to New York and be like, hey, it's working or it's not working. So I got to travel all over with them. I traveled to Atlanta a couple times to do a festival thing, and actually, cool story. Segue. So I was 13 and I did a junior theater festival. So I performed this show at the what is the Fox in Atlanta. 10 years later, I was working on the Tyler Perry show and got picked up by my driver. They take me to the hotel that we're staying in, and it was nighttime, so I didn't see where I wasn't paying attention. I was probably on my phone. The next morning, I wake up at the hotel. Like I said, this is my first TV show in Atlanta that I was working on, and I opened the balcony, and there's the Fox Theater that 10 years prior I'd performed that as a kid.
Word.
Right
Full
across the
circle.
street.
Circle. For
Yeah,
sure.
it was kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, did you tear up a little bit? I know I would have been like, I did it. I got
Probably.
it. I'm here now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, wow.
probably.
That's an
yeah.
awesome moment.
So very early roots in
Very
acting,
early.
which transferred to a life on the West Coast for a little bit out in LA.
Yeah, because when
The
I
land of the actors and aspiring.
Not
you know.
anymore. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not
anymore.
anymore. Not anymore.
We'll get there.
There's
But
been a shift.
Yeah, we'll
There's been a
get-
shift.
yeah,
There's been a shift a lot.
Stay with us. We'll
get there.
Yeah.
Sad.
So what was that like?
Sad.
You know.
Well, what's crazy about it is so when I was in high school, leaving, getting ready to graduate, all of my guidance counselors and teachers thought I was nuts because I was like, top of my class, and high school vice president, and all that stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm going to go be an actor. And
So like you're not going to use your brain going forward.
Yeah. What's interesting though is my parents were really supportive of it, and they were
Wow.
like, "Go do it. If you want to go to college, it'll always be there. You can come later."
This is
Exactly.
true.
Don't talk about it. Be
And
about
that's
Yeah.
the way we look
So-
at college now.
That's
Fast
another
forward.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll get there too.
yeah.
But anyway, so to fast forward, a year after I graduated high school, I booked my first show in China. So I did a musical in China.
Oh
Interesting.
shit.
For a few
Okay.
months, yeah, and that was fun. So I toured mainland China all over for a few months, and then went back to Turkey and did another show there. So I was 19 and got my first professional job.
So tell me about China,
Mm-hmm.
being Afro-Latina in China. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be a lot of experiences you had
So fascinating.
that you were just like, what is that like? Give me a prop for us to like what the shift of the cultures, the
Mhm.
differences, being in that space, being the only probably
Mhm.
black person for miles.
Well, we had
like,
a
you know
few.
what I mean?
We had a few other people in our cast who, like Ashley, was from Philly, so she was African American. Dom was from Alabama, and I think that's it. And maybe one other person. But it was interesting because for sure we weren't, went to all the mainland, or I should say the main cities, so Shanghai and Beijing. But we were also in some secondary cities. We went to
Mhm.
Wuhan.
Mm.
Been there.
Wow.
And
The birth of
the birth of the
the birth of
Are
the
we allowed
thing.
to say that? Is that a conspiracy theory still? Or
I
we-
don't
can we
know.
say it now?
Hey,
I
we're-
think
we're-
Donald Trump
I'm not
said
gonna-
it
We can say it
last
now, right?
time.
We can
Hey,
say it.
I'm
The
not.
Wuhan-
I don't know where it's from. I just
Okay.
know
I don't know if we're
it's
allowed.
real.
Yeah.
It is a real thing.
It's
The
real.
virus
She
is
was
real.
there. She
I was
can
there.
attest
I
that
was
this is a
there.
real
But
place.
you didn't get anything when you were there, though.
No.
Okay,
No.
good.
She
Thank
did
God
not
for
see
that.
the lab. So
I did not see the lab. But anyway, all that said, yeah. So I did that for a bit, and then when I came back to the States, I did one final tour. I should say I was doing musical theater, so I'm a singer. So like Broadway shows. I did one final tour around the country. It was a national one, and then I ended up in LA.
Okay.
So, and I was in LA from 22 to 30, 31.
To go from China,
Mhm.
Turkey, and all
Boston to China.
international
Yeah.
to now LA.
Mhm.
What is the biggest shift that you experienced in like cultures and people, all of it? Like, because I know that the theater life and the LA life has to be different.
Drastically different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can
Yeah.
you speak to a little bit about how you shifted and navigated those two worlds?
That's a good question. I don't even know if I've ever actually retrospectively thought about it. I kind of just
Waldo
lived
gonna
in
give
it.
you one of
I'ma
those.
give you
He
those.
gonna
I'ma
give you
give
one of
Yeah,
those.
yeah. You definitely you'll throw some. I didn't realize it. Like
It's,
this.
it's not, you know what I mean?
But no, this is good. You know what? I like that though. I like that because I feel like so many times people go look forward, but we don't look back. We don't appreciate where we came from or what
Facts.
we've done.
Facts.
Because you're just so used to like pushing ahead.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next thing?
What's the next thing? So LA, and this is what's tricky about it, is that LA has changed so much even from when I left 5 years ago. LA is definitely the land of beautiful people, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of beautiful people.
And in theater, not so much, but I don't want to say that in a way that is offensive. I guess what I mean is like, as a theater actor, you're so used to being able to play a wider range of characters.
Okay.
And when you go to LA, you get pigeonholed a lot more. And you get
Interesting.
typecast a lot more.
Mhm.
And it's what you look like is I mean, before you open your mouth, they're going to tell you what role you fit into. In theater, not so much.
Right.
In theater, you can walk in the door and they might think, I mean, for the most part, you've got your character actors and your ingenues, like your main characters. But if you can sing or you can like from a distance look, then I buy it.
I'll buy it.
Right.
But in
Sold.
TV, this is it.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what's selling. So they are very quick to tell you. I remember one of my first acting teachers, one of the first classes was like you had to create your own like elevator pitch, your tagline.
Yeah. You still got it?
I don't remember what it was, but it was something about being Kerry Washington's younger sister or something. It was like
Being Kerry Washington.
it was like-
At
I
that
see
time,
it.
that was probably
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good
I
look,
see
too.
it.
Yeah.
I see it.
because that's when Scandal
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
a thing.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying.
It's handled.
Rewind the clock. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
No, that's a good pitch.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what was interesting is that you have a lot of people who go to LA from theater or from New York, and they fight that like they're trying to tell my agent's trying to tell me that
Mhm.
they only want to see me for this type of role, and I have all these other things I can do. And what's interesting is I find that like the people who really fought it are
Their ass is out of there right now.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a product or a byproduct of Hollywood, or is it like is something that we as consumers like? Is that what we want? Like we want to see typecasted roles. We want to know what we're getting. We want to
You
go through
know-
the assembly line and just pick the pieces that we want and leave everything.
Not to cut you off, but and not even to answer that question because I don't really know. But I feel like it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like type situation in Hollywood.
So they're just trusting
Like,
in the process that's already been
if some shit
established.
sells in the box office, then it's like a
Fast and
copycat
the Furious
game.
12.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Like so.
yeah, but unfortunately, I also think that's why American television is so boring now.
It is.
Yeah.
Because if you look at British television, which is my favorite television,
It is a lot more dynamic.
They are
yeah.
so much more
I
dynamic.
like
lot more
Korean.
dynamic.
I'm watching a lot
Or
of Korean shows.
yeah,
They're
Korean. They're good.
They're taking risks.
They're
The
writing.
topics, the styles, everything is different.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So again, but I think it's because we're allowing it. Because they follow the money. If
That's what
we
I'm
buy
saying.
it,
It's
if
a bottom
we
line
eat
thing
it,
for them.
then we won't worry about it,
Mhm.
right? We have to do a petition to get red dye out of our cereals, right? In order to, because if we don't, if everyone still eats the red dye,
Yeah,
let's keep pushing it out.
they do.
So I'm looking at the film industry, or TV, whatever you want to look at, the LA
Mhm.
construct, and it hasn't changed in about 20 years on a massive scale. I've seen small like ripples of change as obviously we had the strikes and things like
Mhm.
that because people were looking for like
Mhm.
different change on the back end. But in terms of what's being put out, maybe it's just me. Reality TV is still
Nah, the art is all bottom line driven, which is where you lose the art form. I think it's
Yeah. I
like
think
everything
so,
is just
too.
drive people into the seats or into viewership, and you just give them the same thing, which is where that burnout happens. and I
add more
think, like-
explosions.
and it's not even just in like film and television. I think it's like in sports because like kind of in a sports way, like the NBA viewership is like down, but I think it's because we tired of seeing the same fucking thing for like the past 5, 6, 7, now 10 years almost with Steph Curry and them, where it's just everybody shoots a bunch of threes. So
That's
I think
fair.
it's
Okay.
like initially it's like let's get this going because it's gonna attract the people, but how long can you look at that kind of shit? You know, so I feel like
That's fair.
parallels in that way.
That's fair.
You know,
That's a good comparison. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think the audience gets desensitized.
it's like
Yeah.
how many times like I don't want to see like sports example. I don't want to see like certain players shooting 7 threes a game when it's like that you have so much more that you can do. Like the whole Ant Edwards thing when them saying like it's like them talking about how many threes he's shooting now, but he's going along with the analytics, he's going along with the data, he's going along with what they pushing out there as the way we play the game. But he's so much more talented than just like I'm a 3-point shooter, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's a great correlation because, or like, it tracks. It's parallel to like the acting world or in terms of like TV and film because, to your point, there are a lot of actors that I know that I was in class with who were really dynamic, brilliant actors, but the writing that's out there that the studios are willing to take the risk on doesn't allow for them. It makes them shoot the threes,
right.
even though they
Makes
can
them
do
shoot the threes,
even though they can do a lot of other stuff.
Right.
But they have to shoot those threes, and you know that in order to pay your bills, you got to be good at shooting the threes because that's what they're going to pay you for. Even though as an artist, I did this show, and I don't want to say it is because it was a very famous show, but I was talking to the lead actor, and I was working opposite him, and we had a whole conversation. He was telling me I was one of the first people he told that he was going to leave the show.
Wow.
And he says to me, "I'm just so." He's like, "I've been here for 10 years. It's the same script,
I've been here for 10 years.
week after week." So there's a certain
Same thing.
yeah, there are certain shows called procedurals, and they basically think of NCIS or
Yep.
Right.
they follow the same procedure every episode. You know,
Grey's
it's coming.
Anatomy type shit.
yeah.
It's episodic.
It's
Yeah.
episodic.
Just throw it out there. Boom,
Yes.
boom, 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 boom. No
Yeah.
risk, no change.
Nothing.
By the end, either a marriage, a baby, or a death.
Right.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
those three are coming.
And if it's on primetime, so if it's on ABC, NBC, CBS, you know for sure it's going to be safe and boring.
Right.
Exactly.
So that actor was on one of those types of shows, and
So that's not hard. It's not a hard list to pull out. I'm not gonna say anything else. But go ahead.
And it was funny though because he was like, "It pays my bills." And I set up a certain lifestyle for my family that now I have to
Yeah.
continue. He goes, but artistically, for
It's
the
just-
last 10
it's
years,
killing me.
dying
It's killing
every single
killing
day.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
And it
That's
was funny though
wild.
because it was that conversation. I don't want to say that conversation, but that was one of them that in my career, it just made me question a lot. Because you get to a certain point, you probably felt this way too. I think you get to a certain point in a professional career where, especially when it's like a specialized career that not many people are in and can do, and you see the top. I like to say, like, you see the wizard. You get there, and they go, the Wizard of Oz, they go through this whole journey. They go through so much.
And it ends up not even being.
Bingo.
It ain't as big
You get
and
there
as
and you
mythical
realize,
as you think.
yes.
Yeah.
You get there and Toto pulls the curtain and the wizard's 4 feet 11.
And it's like, what is
Little
this?
And
guy.
you're like, what did
Small
I do?
man.
I thought he was gonna be able to grant all my wishes
Right,
and give me
exactly.
the heart. I'm the lion in this scenario.
That is how that's how the analogy that I like to use for the business, the Hollywood industry, and my experience with it.
But
So
I just-
in that way,
go ahead,
not
please.
to cut you
Yeah,
off,
no, go
Waldo,
ahead. I
but
got
is
you.
that what led to like because you transitioned around like COVID times, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's funny. It's because I still have reps. I still have an agent and a manager, and I'll kind of like throw a ring in every now and again for an audition for something if I want to do it. If they send it to me and it's something I want to do, maybe. But I definitely don't have the same focus like I used to. And
Yeah.
COVID really it sat me on my ass. It sat everybody on their ass.
Yes,
Facts.
it did.
And it's such a the thing about LA is it's like Groundhog Day. The weather's beautiful every day.
Yeah.
You don't realize how fast the time's going. And you're there for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and it's the same weather every day. And it isn't until you go home and you see how other people have aged. Your
everybody else
parents-
it's
Yeah,
been cold.
your-
Seasons change.
Seasons change. Your parents look older.
Like what happened?
Yeah.
Your nieces and nephews are now like kids. They're
right.
not like 2. You're like,
You
what
were in a
is
time
happening?
capsule almost in a sense.
You are.
frozen and you came out and you went, oh, there's life happening
Yeah.
outside of this.
Yeah. So COVID forced me to sit because prior to literally when I found out, I was in Atlanta shooting an episode of The Resident. I think that show's still on. I don't know. But I think it is. But
That's Malcolm Jamal Warner. What's his name on there? Isn't he?
no,
What's
his name?
Is it
It's-
Theodore Huxtable? Who is
No,
it? One
he
of
might
them.
be. He might be. But I thought it was what's the guy that everybody loves?
I thought it was Malcolm from Malcolm and Eddie.
He could be.
I don't know who it is, but anyway, go
Who's
ahead.
like the '90s heartthrob that like everybody like
90s
the like black
heartthrob?
guy who like everybody
I
loves?
thought it was Eddie Winslow or
No, it's not
Stephon
her.
Arkell.
No.
or is it
It'll come to me.
Malcolm?
And he's a douchebag apparently in real life.
Is
He's a little
he?
white from what I
Is
heard.
he?
Yeah,
Is
I ain't gonna get into the details of it.
It's a black
'cause
guy though, the resident, right? He's on there, isn't he? I can't remember the cast on that one.
I've never seen
That
the
wasn't
show.
my main like show. If I wanted some doctor
Yeah.
stuff, I wanted House or something like that.
They
That
try.
was mine.
Yeah.
That
No.
was my wheelhouse.
Tell me who it is.
Yeah, it's him. This guy.
No, but I'm not
he's
thinking of him.
He's from
Malcolm Jamal.
Malcolm
Oh,
Jamal
yeah.
Warner.
I guess he's on it now. No, he wasn't on it when I was there.
No?
No.
Who's the other cast members then?
He must not be on it anymore.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Anyway, moral of
Yeah.
the story is so COVID. So I was filming an episode, and actually the episode was about a virus. That was so the episode
Interesting.
never
A
aired.
little foreshadowing.
They pulled
They
it.
pulled it.
They pulled it. They never
Oh,
aired
Wow.
because they didn't know.
It would
I
be
mean,
insensitive.
that it would turn into
Yeah.
like what it turned into. Yeah, it would totally be
Turned into
insensitive.
some
Yeah.
shit, boy.
So anyway, I remember the producers. I was like, "What?" We had the day off because they were like, "We don't know what to do. LA shutting down.
Mhm.
We don't know if we're gonna like send you guys home. So let's just take tomorrow off, and then we'll figure it out." I got a call from the producers
Wow.
and was like, "We're gonna send you home to LA because we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't want you stuck
Right.
here."
Yeah.
And I was talking to my husband, and he's like, "You guys have lines at your grocery stores?" And I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" And that was the beginning of.
You have a line.
In LA, we had lines in our grocery stores. Yeah,
Of course.
yeah. I
it
don't know if it was like
got
that out here, but it was
crazy.
pretty
Oh, it
wild.
got crazy. It got crazy.
Yeah,
for
it got a
bit.
little wild for a little
Yeah,
bit.
for a bit.
Yeah,
And I
Yeah.
worked in
People
worked
trying
in
to
a
stock
field
up
where
and
I
all
had
that
to-
shit.
I
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
to still work no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you gonna do?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bills had to get paid. So.
Exactly.
So then, like, what was your moment when you're like, all right, I'm out? Like, and you're married, you know?
Yep.
That
Yeah.
was still-
Well, so I wasn't married at the time. I
Oh,
was
yeah, you
having
got
my
married
wedding
after.
that year.
Right, yeah.
Same
in
year as
LA.
COVID?
hmm
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
did you have it or
Nope.
did you? Okay.
No, we canceled it.
Wow.
I was gonna be in LA, and like our whole family was flying out and all that kind of stuff, so we canceled it. But I think so we left. We left LA. One way ticket, thinking we'll go back. We were just like, let's get out of here. Let's go to we were gonna go to my husband's parents, just to chill out. He
Right.
grew up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we were in the city, so also like all the George Floyd
From the
riots were
city life
happening.
to farm life. That's a different.
Yeah, I live on a farm.
Talk about culture shock.
Um,
I know, right?
But anyway, so we went back, and I had visited his family many times.
Mhm.
So I was like, let's do it. Let's get out of here because it was just wild. So COVID was happening, but also we had curfew because of the riots happening outside of our street. It was a lot.
Oh yeah, that was the George Floyd and all that
Yeah.
too. It
So
was
I
a
lived
lot.
right
all
in
that
West
time.
Hollywood.
It was a
Crazy
lot
time.
happening.
Yeah, it's
I was living
crazy
right in
time.
West Hollywood, and like everything was like everything was on fire.
Ooh.
Literally.
Yeah.
So we left. We left and thought we'd be back in 2 weeks because that was the whole thing. 2 weeks to stop the spread. Yada
Mhm.
yada.
Yeah, we thought.
And yeah, was here for a month, and I turned to my husband and I was like, "Why are we going back?"
Why?
And he was like, "Well, I mean, we have a life out there." And I was like, "No, but like, do you really think about it? Why are we going back?"
Yeah.
And we literally wrote a pros and cons list. I have it still, because I was like, "Here's the deal: if this turns out to be more financially
Feasible.
feasible for
Rich.
the
Ding, ding, ding.
casting directors."
Oh, okay. In that way, yeah. Business wise, yeah.
Because that was our big thing, was we were out there because of the industry.
Right.
You had to be out there to audition.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I was like, if this turns out to be more financially feasible for the casting directors to maintain, and if this is because it cuts their overhead, they don't have to
Yep.
worry about,
Mhm.
We'll just
renting
out. Watch a video.
or
of
watch self tapes.
Mhm.
You. Yep.
I was like, if this happens any much like if this continues throughout the summer, we're done. Meaning like what we knew of that
The
world,
process,
that
yep.
process, that audition process is
Mhm.
gone. We
Mhm.
saw
Gone
the end of it.
forever.
We
Yep.
saw the end of it. And he was like, "Ugh, I don't know. But I'm not gonna say I'm
And he's
like-
also in the
He
was in the
was. He
business as
was,
well.
yeah, he was.
So,
Yeah.
Hollywood
And,
love. So yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that I'm like psychic, but I just think
You
I
called it.
I just-
Yeah.
I just think you gotta be realistic about things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nah, for sure.
And I was like, it's not gonna go back. And I remember having a conversation with my manager at the time, and he goes, "Yeah, I think if this lasts any longer, I think you're right." It just made sense for so many people who are involved, but the actors got the sucky part because it changes, right? It changes
Yep.
the whole dynamic.
Yep.
Going into a
Facts.
room
Yeah.
and having energy of a real person.
Versus a camera
can
that you
kinda
got to
give
send to
yourself-
someone
yeah,
via.
you can give your you can.
Yeah.
They may not even like your audition, but they like you, and you still
Exactly.
can get the gig.
Right.
And
you know what
I'll
mean?
tell
Yeah.
you, I booked many roles because of
Because
that.
of that, yeah.
Mhm.
Or you'd go into the audition, you'd completely Can I swear?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah,
fuck up the audition.
Yeah.
Like,
Check it out.
terribly. It's happened before many a times for me. And I'd start laughing and I'd be like, well, that sucked. Can I do that again? And they'd be like, that's it. That was it. That was the moment. They would tell me later, that was the moment that we hired you. Because
Exactly.
you're on set for a long time. People don't realize that.
You're
You're
gonna
on set.
fuck up at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no one wants a robot.
Yeah.
No.
You know? And I actually had an acting teacher, and he changed my whole thought process on acting. And now I try to teach that to kids because I do teach acting now. But I'm a type A kind of stickler person. I don't like making mistakes. I don't like disappointing. I'm an oldest daughter. And it's a personality type.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a scene for him in front of the class, and I was kind of the style you had to perform in front of anybody. And he goes, that was great. Perfect. Didn't mess up a line. And here I am like, yeah, I know. You know, I'm 22, but I had toured around the world, and I was
Oh, yeah.
You know,
You're smelling it, huh?
22. Yeah.
Resume. My resume.
Uh-huh.
Check the resume.
It doesn't stink at all.
Yep. And this is like I went to class. It's called the Beverly Hills Playhouse. Still exists. And I was sitting there. I'm like, yeah, and he goes, and it was boring as fuck.
Wow. Buried the lead much, huh?
Yeah, barely exactly.
I'm sorry. I think we got it's applicable to the situation.
Yep.
So what was that? What was that like? What'd you say back?
Well,
I
mean, I'm like, what do you mean it was perfect? Like, what do you mean? I hit the notes. I did everything and he goes, and it was boring because people don't live that way.
Right.
And as an audience, I want to watch a human experience. That's not a human. That's a robot.
Yeah.
That's not watching. He was like, I want you to discover so much more of that person, not what you think that person would react, but how that person would react.
Yeah.
And
Who is
like,
that person? Yeah. Who is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you? So what do you classify yourself? Are you a method actor?
No.
Or are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
Answer the question. We'll give
No.
more.
You're good. No, you're good. I just wanted to say no because no.
She's just a hard no. Like, nah, I ain't with that shit.
What is your claim to fame? I guess so to speak.
Or my like methodology.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of everything, but because to answer your question, like the method acting thing, here's the thing. I'm very well aware I have not experienced everything in life, nor will I. So for me, I feel like acting is, I mean, to say this, but it's playing pretend.
Okay.
And I think you have to have a cerebral understanding, at least, and a curiosity of people's emotions. I'm always observing people. I love people watching. I love watching the most random shit on YouTube. Just
I'm right there with you though.
Just because I like the way people mind work.
Mhm.
So I didn't tell you guys. So when I was in high school, I did apply to colleges. My parents went to Boston College, and I was gonna go there, but I deferred, and I wanted to be a clinical psychologist or forensic psychologist. So that like how that mind works, that especially deviant minds.
Yeah, no,
like
sure.
cults.
Yeah.
The maniacal, like, what is it that makes people?
No, people think, I'm a people watcher too, so
I love it.
Like you speaking like right where I'm at with that shit. So I definitely understand that.
It's similar to be on stage. When you're on stage,
for sure.
Especially when you're performing, like I'm reading the entire time.
Knowing
what the crowd is, knowing how to evoke that emotion, knowing when to pull a dance move out my ass because I need to just give them a pop of something to give them the showmanship aspect of it all.
100%.
Yeah, so
and it's across all
entertainment.
entertainment. Like the people that thrive in those industries, they kind of understand like that is what you're like there to do. Like, so you kind of got to be a person. I guess a lot less in athletics because we're so focused on like the craft, like the sport.
Yeah, the skill.
As an actor, as a musician, if you got a show, you want people to respond to like your show positively. So like you kind of checking for people's, so you kind of have to have that eye for the consumer for what you're selling, more or less. Right. At least for me, closest thing I would say in basketball is like you sense the shift of energy within like the crowd of a home team or the crowd of an away team. Like you want the away team to be as quiet as possible while you're doing your thing because that would then lend to the success of what you're trying to do, which is win the game. Same flip side on the home team. Like you want to be like as like creating those moments for your fans as best as
Audience,
possible.
yeah.
Like I remember having games where I'm just like, bro, the crowd is like quiet as fucking here. Like we playing like shit, like that kind of shit. Like you know, like knowing our fan base is passionate enough to want to give us that energy. It's
Come
like
on.
if we ain't doing what we need to do to provide that, then something's off with us. You know,
It's an exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exchange
it is an exchange of
It
energy,
is.
literally.
It is. It's an exchange. It's very true, and that's why I feel like if you are an entertainer, whether it's sports or music or acting, if you don't have a healthy sense of self and healthy way of recharging and I mean, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
Why they end up all it.
And I honestly, because you said it, I do want to get your perspective with everything going on and all the Diddy tapes and things like the craziness of the Hollywood life.
We had some light Diddy talk. It was like
I just
we
want
ain't never get too deep into
know.
it.
I want to know if this is shocking or is it like I stayed away from all of that, but I didn't know that like those things or those stories, rumors were coming out. Like from your perspective, being in the LA, being in the actors world, is that something that is par for the course in your experience?
Basically, he's trying to ask,
Yeah.
were you at the parties?
No, I'm not
Or
asking all that. I ain't trying to
maybe not the
incriminate
Diddy
you
parties,
or
but
anybody else.
we
but
know how that shit is.
What
in
I'm
LA.
saying is, in that LA world, is that the dark underbelly of the LA Hollywood life?
Totally.
Oh, okay, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very succinct.
But you know what I think?
She didn't take long to get to it.
No,
Yeah.
she said
Yeah.
straight to it.
Yeah. No, totally. But here's the thing. I think that when, I think this is true in life, and whether it's in Hollywood or not, I think the vibe that you give off tells the person whether you're into it or not, or whether they're even. And it's a very much a grooming mentality or a grooming culture. So if you've got issues that you put, so remember you asked him in the beginning, like I don't know if this was on tape, but he asked me if I was feeling how I was feeling. I said I'm good, and you were like, even if you weren't, whatever.
Yeah.
If you divulge a lot, like if you're like, well, that's
Oh, so they're seeking something to attach themselves to.
Yes,
like
because
almost
then
like
there's a vulnerability and there's something that you are wanting from that I can manage to.
Right.
I can give you this sense of security or this sense
oh,
of
don't
whatever.
worry, now you need me for something.
Yes.
Here's
and now
what
I'm
I
not
can
going to
do
say
for
it's
you.
so sinister in that way.
Yeah, no,
but that's, I mean, I
it's
think that's
insidious
grooming
is
in
what it
general.
is. It's
Yeah.
insidious.
So I think if you give off the vibe, now my mom was a probation officer for 25 years.
Come on, Mom Dukes. Come on. Shouts to Mom one time.
So my
One
mom.
time, my mom was on that.
She ain't playing no games.
She didn't play many, and I will say, and to give my dad props too, my dad was also very honest, which is the world when I was growing up.
Facts.
And
girl dads in the house.
which is important, I think, because I wasn't naive to it. And my dad was like, I remember I was at a family wedding and I was 18 and there was a guy who kept following me around and he was like the friend of the groom. The groom's not related to me. The bride is related to me. And he kept following me around. He was the groom's age, which funny enough is now my husband's age. But at the time,
it was a little creepy. Yeah,
it was like a 10-year age difference. It was, he's almost 30 and I was 18. So I go to my dad and my dad's sitting at the table, family wedding. And I'm like, Dad, this guy keeps following me around. And he's like, well, what does he want? I go, I don't know. But like, he asked me if I wanted a drink. I was like, oh, I'm only 18. My dad goes, so tell him I'm not interested. And I was like, well, I can't say it. And the guy comes around again. And I sit at the table quickly next to my dad. My dad goes, get up. And I was like, he goes, go tell him you're not interested. And I was like, well, and my dad goes, listen, I'm not going to be around you all the time. And he was like, you're an attractive girl.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be around you all the time. You have to learn to say no. And to say it in a way that he's going to respect you and back off.
That just fucked me up.
Come on, give him a round of
Give him a
applause,
little-
man. Shouts to that father protecting his daughter, but also empowering his daughter
That's what it
to
was.
protect herself.
That's what it was.
I have
And
a
now-
daughter, so like,
Yeah.
that really just made me think about something. for
Yeah,
real.
it totally changed my perspective. And so I carried that with me because little did I know the next year I'd be on a plane to China by myself. He didn't know that either.
And
And
you
he
had to
didn't know
step
that.
in
Right.
and
So
speak up and advocate for yourself in those moments.
Yeah. And it was great because I look at it now as a parent. And yeah, it was a private event. It was he was watching, I'm sure. He could see. But it was a moment where he goes, no, you have to learn for yourself. I'm not going to be there all the time.
Right.
And as a woman, you have power to
Yeah.
say, not interested. So carrying that into LA, it allowed me to bring that same essence to that. And so I wasn't ever put in those. There were a couple sketchy things, but nothing like what I've heard.
You spot
Yeah.
that shit very early.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
You just know.
Yeah.
If you're going
no
to
doubt.
Diddy parties at 2 o'clock in the, what do you think
What do you?
happening?
It's definitely not the place to go.
When they get on the
do
mic and
Bible
tell
study.
all the kids to go home.
Yeah.
It
some
isn't
shit
Bible
about to go
studies
down.
and
Nah,
Yeah.
for
prayer
sure.
calls
Nah,
going
nah.
on
If
over
a
there.
casting director asks you to like, hey, meet me at yada yada
Nah,
to talk
something's
by
up with that shit.
ourselves.
At the Starbucks underground
About-
tunnels, is that
Yeah.
real?
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
I don't know
I've
about
been
that.
hearing about that on TikTok.
But
There's
I-
like underground Starbucks tunnels or something like that. I don't know.
Really?
I heard about that. I'm just conspiracy theorist.
Listen,
a little
listen.
bit.
I believe everything. This is the thing.
So, at least 10%, right?
At least 10. There's very little that I will not believe because of the stuff I've seen, and a lot of it's like not even things that I could remember. But if you bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I did know about that.
Yes, I wanted to ask her one more question about your career. Like, if there is like this the B-roll that you're doing, what's the one scene that you're most proud of
Oh,
that you like? You know, you nailed them. You know what I mean? Like you got that. You gonna see the acting. I put my years into this one. Is there a scene that
Tough
you just really
question.
like proud of like?
you know what's funny? I think the scene that I was probably the most proud of never got to be aired because it was on.
Okay.
It was the COVID thing.
Damn.
That was a good scene.
Yeah, because I was in a it was a medical drama, and so those medical dramas always have good arcs for their guest stars because
Yeah.
you come in and everything's fine and you're the medical mystery, right? So you come in and you think it's one thing and then it turns into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember I had to cry on demand and then you have to do it 15 times. It's like you've got to cry on demand 15 times. And so and I remember the director coming up to me and giving me a compliment for it because funny, kind of going back to what you were saying about like if I'm a method actor, I had an acting teacher, and this is kind of merging what you were saying. My brain's going. "Whoop." I had an acting teacher.
This is the goal.
I had an acting teacher who told me once, and I'll never forget it. He said, "Your job as an actor is not necessarily to feel what you're performing, but to have the audience feel what you're performing. Because a lot of times as an actor, you're not going to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But if your audience feels it and they connect with it, that's what your job is. And so that's why even more so, like the method acting, a little controversial, it's a little selfish. Unless that audience also feels what you're feeling, sure.
Yeah.
Some actors are great at it. But you'll also hear about like douchebags who are method actors who it's all about them and their
Yeah.
process and their
Right.
feeling.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this is not about you,
No.
actually. Like, it's about you evoking the emotion in the audience.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes you show up, like when I was doing theater, and I did 8 shows a week, and I would be thinking about what I was having for dinner. I'd be thinking about just because normal life. Sure, you playing a game, and you're thinking about other things. You got
Oh,
other
yeah. Like,
things you're
I'm
going
on stage. I'm sitting there like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Soon
shit!
as
I
I'm
gotta
done
check back in.
this.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta check back in.
Yeah.
But then the audience comes up to you afterwards at the stage door, or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my god, that was so amazing," and it kind of pulls you back, and you're like, "Oh shit, that's right. I was doing this for you."
For
Mhm.
you.
But I'm glad that my skill set, because sometimes you have to rely on the skill because your passion isn't there in the moment.
Exactly.
Right?
Ah, man, it sucks. But
So it's true. We're
Yeah.
human. We're
No,
human.
it's
So that's
real.
why the method thing never worked for me
Yeah.
because I'm like, sometimes I'm not in it. I'm not
Yeah.
here. I'm not present. But I need to be able to turn on the crying because I want you to feel it.
So, like, I know what
It's a
y'all
show.
want to see. Like, it's time.
And you paid your money, just like
Right.
the people who did last night. Even though I felt it
Exactly.
last night, I didn't feel it today. But you
Yeah.
paid the same amount of money they did. I got to give the
Same
show.
shit as a
Same
pole player. Some
performance,
days I'm coming to that gym and I'm like, man, I'm just here tonight. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
whatever happens, happens.
But your
then
stat
sometimes-
lines still look great.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Your
Knowing
stat
how
line
to
still
turn
looks
it
great.
on is a thing for
Yeah.
all of the
Yeah.
things. No, no
Which
doubt.
has helped with coaching.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I know like you've gone through stuff.
Facts. Fast forward, wanted to get there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you got away from the LA life for sure.
Yeah.
And that's when we crossed paths as, our two lives kind of meeting in
Yeah.
the fitness space. So from actor to transitioning out to fitness professional for a little bit, like what was that like for you? Like where did that, because backstory, like, they know I'm a fitness person on here. They know about that already. Like I met Presilah after she got away from the LA life, and then she ended up working out with me one time, and I'm just like, who's this new person here?
Who
Like,
is she?
Right. Had done the workouts out there in LA, so then she's like, all right, this is kind of the same thing anyway, so I'm gonna pop in here, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, who's this new person? She got on a freaking, was it a Patriots hat?
Yeah.
Off? I'm like, okay, she's clearly from Boston,
No,
but
I'm
you know,
teasing,
let
I'm
me
just
not,
kidding.
you know, let me not
It is what
cut her
it
off
is. It is
completely
what
out the
it
gate.
is, right?
So then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, I kind of want to do this training thing, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
help me along with the process. I'm like, wait, you? Then I'm like, okay. And then finding out more about her, I'm like, oh, she's acted before, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Oh, this works because if you can turn that shit on in
Yeah.
front of people, then you're probably going to be pretty good at it. But if you also know what the fuck you're talking about, then you'll be really, really good at it.
That's
So,
awesome.
you know, from there going to being one of our most preferred or most favored, you know, trainers and coaches.
That's nice. Thank you.
all right.
Yeah, great feedback. You know, she made my life hell when she left, but I also made her life hell for
When
a
she
little
was
bit.
there.
And she was about to give birth, so you know she
Oh,
went
that
away
makes
for the
sense.
right
That makes more
reasons.
sense.
You know,
Yeah.
she's had a child since then.
Yeah.
Baby's almost 2 now.
He's 2 tomorrow.
2 tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's
Happy
that flies by.
birthday
Yeah.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that whole
Happy
transition, you know, I'm big on
birthday.
transition just because of my path, you know, leaving the game of basketball to trying to figure out what the fuck you're gonna do next with your life, like how that's gonna
Yeah.
go. Like, speak about the mental process as that went for you, because you basically said to your husband, like, why the fuck would we go back to LA? I'm
Yeah.
willing to embrace and accept whatever's gonna come next. So, what
Yeah.
was that process for you?
Well, I had to convince him to come back here because he grew up in the Eastern Shore of Maryland, so about 25 minutes away. I
Mhm.
had to convince him to come back. I wanted more of a sense of community than what we were finding in LA.
Yeah.
Because I knew I
believe it, man.
I knew I wanted to have kids and I wanted our families to be around them. But yeah, I popped in because I'd been doing for 2
Mhm.
years. And I think the coaching thing for me was it was ticking off a box of creativity that I had an itch that I wanted scratched, and it was performing in a sense in front of people. Um, and then the fitness thing I enjoy because at first it was vanity purposes because I worked in a very vain industry.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, it turned into more of a health thing,
Wellness,
and
Mhm.
and there's a lot of like stuff. All of us have our families that have stuff, that comes in terms of health and illness.
Mhm.
In my family, it's a lot of preventative things. So it
Facts.
turned it from vanity into that. And that's still how I approach it. But anyway, the performance part was I think of myself as a creative person,
Yeah.
not necessarily an actor or a singer or, this or that.
Mhm.
I'm creative. And
Yeah.
sometimes in certain seasons of life, it manifests itself and shows itself in different ways.
Facts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
100%.
And I think you understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
definitely.
so I think because of that, I was able to close the door of what I thought LA or what LA turned out to be. Because I'll be honest with you, I didn't know anyone when I moved out there. I was 21.
Yeah.
So from knowing no one,
And then being there for long
To
enough to see
being-
exactly what it is.
yeah, and
uh-huh.
to creating a living off of it. So
Yeah.
only 1% of actors who are in the union make a living off of
I
it,
know,
and
it's
I was
amazing.
able to do that for, gosh, almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Was
a
way
dime on it,
more
put a
than I
dime on
ever.
it,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
way more than I ever would have
You're a
thought.
successful actor.
Yeah,
Like, there's
yeah.
no way about it. Like, you
Mhm.
got it.
Yeah, and so
Stamped, for real.
thank you. So that was, I think that was it. I was like, okay, how do I pivot?
Mhm.
And what does creativity look like for me in this season? And then there was something about coaching that I was like, I don't want to do that.
There's always TikTok dances.
There
I'm
is-
just saying, if you want to go
At that
This
time, the
is
TikTok
true.
dances was ringing off, but I guess it's go one way or another.
and do that all day and just go on there and do TikTok dances.
Nah, but yeah,
What
she
is
was.
that style? What is that? Is that called something?
That's Philly right there. I don't know what the dance is called, but that's like a Philly joint.
Is it?
Now for nothing,
popular by
side
Lil
note,
Uzi.
there was at the Neo show last year. There was that the one girl. She
She
killed
did it?
that shit.
Yeah, she
Really?
did it. She
yeah,
did it,
I still have video of it. She
Yeah.
bodied that shit. I was
Again, not everybody does it, but
she was
it's
also
But
East
very
Coast
young.
for sure.
yeah,
you
it's
know,
East Coast thing.
Nah,
Yeah,
100%, 100%.
Sorry, that's random. I try to interject a little bit of
No, I
humor
like
every
it.
once in a
I
blue
like
moon.
it. No, but you're right. Why didn't I just become like a TikTok person? I don't
Because
know.
I mean, I'm not saying that anything against TikTok dancing people, but there's a certain level of your craft
Yes.
where if you go from, polished,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
sag, then you go to,
Exactly.
to,
It's kind of
to-
dumbing yourself down.
Little bit.
But
to TikTok dances. It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Although-
know if that's the.
But you
the
know what's
route.
funny? That's actually that is what started happening. That's what started happening in LA as I was leaving. Was
the creators took over.
yes, the
Yeah.
influencers were starting to come in. It was like
Uh-huh.
it was like yeah. It was just like that. It was just like that.
Yeah.
Because when I first moved out there in the early 2010s, everybody was out there to be an actor. It was like the golden age of television,
Yeah.
right? So everybody was out
Yeah.
there. And then as I was leaving, or when I left in 2021, end of 2020, so 2020, yeah, it was all influencers. And in my building, where I was living, it was actors and whatever, and then it turned into influencers. And I'm talking like it was like
You see a lot of
22-year-olds.
selfie sticks popping out
come
all over the place.
on.
Like, what
Here
the
it
fuck is
is.
going on around
Yes.
here? Who are all these people? with the-
22-year-olds driving G-Wagons into our apartment thing,
saying.
and I'm like,
yeah.
what is happening?
The
Yeah,
streamers are
that's nuts.
streamers are coming. The streamers are coming.
That,
That's crazy.
Legit.
The streamers,
Yeah.
legit. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it was like.
The streamers are coming.
It's a shift, and I see it more and more. And you see it with the Drewskis, you see it with the Kais and AMPs, the RDCs. They're coming and they're trying to get all the money, all the gigs, the commercials, the advertising. They want every dollar they can get, and they're not playing. They're making
And they
buku
are.
bucks.
I
They're
mean,
getting
I
buku
respect it
bucks.
just because you're finding a way to capitalize off like what the people are kind of like leaning towards anyway.
That's the thing.
It does ruin some of the traditional creative mindset, which is like the few industries that we talked about: musician, like actor, actress, or just like athlete.
Yeah.
Like the whole creative thing now just adds a whole different lane to it, and it's like there are creators that I respect and admire just because of the way they go about their content.
Yeah.
But then there's also the ones that's like, why the fuck does this shit have 3 million views?
Right.
Like, and it's like, this is the dumbest, most stupidest fucking shit
Oh,
ever.
you're talking about Logan Paul, Jake Paul, and
We
Are
gonna get
you-
to that. We'll get
no,
to
it just
that.
sounds like you are. I was just saying, based off that segue.
he got his start in that space.
That's
but
what
yeah,
he is.
100%.
And now he's
like, the
boxing our
content
greats.
creators.
I know.
Yeah,
at 58, mind you, but still,
yeah.
I just find that to be, to me, where we're going is like not we, I say society cares less about quality acting, quality content.
It's the quick fix.
They want
The quick
to
fix.
see the train wrecks
Yeah.
and see the shock and awe. And it started with the Bad Girl Clubs and all these other shows that we kind of like let slide by for a while. I was like, oh, this is just a one-time thing. And now I've seen MILF Manor and all these other like wild shows. I wouldn't even. I
like
wouldn't.
reality.
It
TV.
is a
like,
bunch
at
of
this
bullshit out
point-
there.
it's
It
like at this
is.
point,
It is.
They had the Get Your Groove Back show with the
There's a
Tay
lot of
Diggs.
bullshit. We can go on and on about.
I don't know if
you
you've ever
that.
seen that. Yeah,
No.
but I'm saying, but we've gotten to the point now. We just need something that's going to make you go crazy
Yeah.
and be shocked.
That
That's
is
more
true.
important.
And not to cut you off, but I do feel like, which is what I do respect about the content space, which is what I've kind of dove into now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There
we're
is a
here.
space for just people being authentic and then people gravitating to that too. So the people that I do respect in that space, they're like just being themselves, you know? And it's the
Mhm.
ones that aren't trying to like do some wild shit, pour ketchup on themselves and run outside with it, like, you know,
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
wild shit like that to where it's like, what, this is like, it's not even parody. This is like some awkward, weird shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit to me is like one way you can go about it, or the people that like gravitate towards creators who are just truly them, you know. And myself, like my sports background, my fitness background, like I don't really try to go out of the way to be like something that I'm not. So it's like anybody
Facts.
that comes towards like our like platform here or just anything that I'm doing, I want it to be
yeah.
organic. So like I do feel like outside of the bullshit, there's still a space for those real connections and real like, you know, engagement with people who are actually like fucking with you because you're just a real person, you know. So
Mhm.
it's one way or another with these content creators, but you can go on and on and on about that. But you know, did want to segue into where you're at now, just because you
Yeah.
know you've done fitness, you've done acting, but right now you're kind of going into a space where you're using your expertise and everything you've been through to give back to the next generation of people to come behind you.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about, you know, the business currently? It
Yeah.
is you and your husband.
And my husband to a
right?
certain extent. Yeah.
Which
yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
until you put the thing out, and I'm like, okay, it's both of them. But
Yep, yep.
which I
That's
find
awesome.
super dope.
Yep.
That's
But, yeah,
awesome.
let's speak
anytime
about
we
that a
can
little
bring us
bit.
together.
Yeah, so basically, to put it quite simply, I'm using all the skills that I learned in entertainment and just through life, which really can be rounded out into like social graces, etiquette, soft
Yeah.
skills.
Mhm.
So, you know, communication, emotional intelligence, and social awareness and personal branding,
Nice.
and have created a business for children. First and foremost, it was going to be just for kids. So it was for
Wow.
like 5-year-olds. And when I say kids, I mean up to high school. So from 5 years old to about 17, and it's called Playfully Polite. And
Playfully polite.
Mhm. And so because it incorporates some role play. Obviously, I'm an actor, so and there's all these studies about how kids learn through role play, playing pretend, you know, rather than just writing and, memorizing and all that kind of stuff.
Facts.
So it incorporates that, and it's teaching them, depending on their developmental age, so whether it's elementary or middle school or high school, teaching them things that are applicable to them social etiquette wise, and social, also dining. But my focus is making it applicable and making it so that way they realize that having good etiquette is just behaving in a way that makes people feel comfortable around you, where you're respecting yourself, you're respecting other people, and people feel valued, they feel understood, they feel heard, and they walk away from there going, you know what? He's a great guy. Well, what is it that makes them think that? There are actual tools and skill sets you can teach the person to do that.
Yeah.
Some of it's personality,
Facts.
some of it is, but some of it is just learning the skills of being able to ask people questions, ask open-ended questions, ask engaging questions, be aware of the room. This person's kind of looking a little down. Maybe they just go ask them, how are you?
Facts.
Like, just things like that is
I only know, and this is just to interject slightly, just because when I got to college, my first class at Marquette, top 25, like y'all know the background. Go Google it if not. But my first class on campus in front of a professor was public speaking, and it was like, at that point, I look back on it, and I have somewhat not to make it seem like that, but some of it seemed a little bit racist, because you're bringing in a bunch of young black athletes, and it's not, they made the white players take it too, but I'm like, you just want to make sure we don't sound like fucking hood idiots on
That's a very important thing,
which is important, and I do understand that, just because I pride myself on being a representative of where I'm truly from, but also able to I can have a conversation with you. You don't got to run away or think I'm this or that, whatever. So having those skills is very important to be able to have people gravitate towards you, or get you a job, or like you spoke about.
Maintain a job. And just being able to be socially aware, to know that there's a certain crew of people, your friends, whatever, that you speak in a certain way with, but then you have to have the skill set to be able to turn that off, turn something else on, be a little bit more professional. So
code switch, yeah.
So code switch, exactly. You have to be able to do it. And it's not, people think, oh, it's racist, or it's, capitalist, or it's misogynist. It's not. It's just human nature. It's who we are.
Yeah.
And it's having good etiquette, because you need to meet people where they're at.
Right.
I think it's a little narcissistic to expect people to meet you where you're at. It's supposed to be the other way around. So with the kids, at their level, I teach that. And then my husband joins me with a college and with businesses, because he has a background in hospitality. So he worked in some of the most famous bars and restaurants in New York and Beverly Hills.
Nice.
And that's a big thing on people. I mean, you are constantly dealing with people, and having to, these A-list celebrities and all of their people you have to deal with. But he's really good at that naturally. So he's the extrovert in the relationship. And
Nice.
but
Totally too, from having a chance to meet him.
Yeah.
She's a quiet one for sure.
Big personality.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Maybe when she's acting, it's a little different.
Yeah, I know.
I'm only
Maybe.
teasing.
But anyway, so he has his own expertise and professional experience when it comes to that. In addition to being an actor, he acted for a bit too and modeled. He did that whole thing, which is a different world.
I can
Totally
imagine that
different
to be
world.
a completely different world.
But anyway, so then we kind of merged together, and really it happened because I was feeding my son a few months ago, and I was like, how do I want to teach people. I forget the thing that came up on me, what came to me, but I was watching something on Instagram, and I thought, I want to teach people the things that I know, because there's a lot that I've learned that is not just for acting.
Right.
It can be used in other industries.
It's like life skills.
It's life skills. And unfortunately, as I was starting to research it, it's really lacking. And there are a lot of the young generation really
nowadays
lacks it.
Even having a conversation with somebody of a certain age now, it's pulling teeth to get through.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And I mean, everybody can blame whatever. You can blame the parents. You can blame digital media. You can blame the screens. It doesn't matter where the blame lies. It just needs to be. It needs
to. It's a solution to a problem.
I also think that generationally, we have a gap in terms of we don't stay tapped in as to speak in their language. They're moving at a different speed, and we don't want to get on that bike or that train or whatever that, because they're flying down the highway in terms of information, AI, all of the things that they do. It's like, I really got to know what skibbity toilet means, and I really got to know what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a lot
Come
of
on,
shit
twin, it's a lot there. And if we're not attempting to come down and go, okay, I see, I understand you at your level, but here's what you need to do to understand me at this level as well. Then we're gonna just keep seeing each other cross paths and not really tap in. So I appreciate what you're attempting to offer is kind of like a bridge to kind of like understanding the world at large. Yeah. Because they're going to be the leaders soon.
They are.
We're going to tap out. We're going to be the old heads. And then they're going to be the ones that's going to have to pave the way for the future. And boy.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's funny that you say bridging that literally is one of the modules that I teach to college and new hires going into corporate America. It's called Bridging the Generations, because you've got the boomers, you've got Gen X, you have millennials, and you have Gen Z, and Gen Alpha's coming in, soon, a few years.
God, I can't keep up with these fucking gens.
I know, but the way that they communicate
that's just how you know you're getting old.
That's the thing,
exactly.
Yeah. But even the way we communicate, and I don't think we're that old, but it's so different.
I don't think we're that old.
Gen Z.
We ain't that old.
Listen, we are there. We unks. We
middle-aged. Like,
let's stop pretending that. I know the other day
I joke about it, but again,
said,
all statistics say we are middle-aged individuals.
When they said, we're gonna play this classic song, and the song they played was "Apple Bottom Jeans, Boots with the Furs."
I'm
offended.
I was hurt. I was like, no, this isn't old at all. I was last
10 years
that
ago.
Old, bro.
Last week.
You blink twice, and that shit 10 years old.
In my heart, they have no concept of so many aspects of our life that we know.
Yeah.
They never heard the sound blang, blang, blang.
Yeah.
They don't know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So when you're talking to these kids, we have a wealth of knowledge that extends beyond them, but they only have seen a few things, right? Their president was black once. Like their mindset is like anything's possible. What do you mean? I can do whatever I want. I can go stream and make millions. Like they don't see the pieces.
That's great.
Yeah.
But you still got to have some grounding to it for the kids. Like,
that's the thing.
That's great. That's why we have the wonderful Presilah. Hopefully giving them the etiquette.
No, but that's my thing. Is like, and I agree. Listen, I just found out about ChatGPT about 2 weeks ago, and I've named her Rebecca because she is my new personal assistant.
I call her Little Chizzy.
You have Little Chizzy?
Little Chizzy.
I feel, now that I've told people, it's like I do feel a little old because people are like, you just used it, and I'm like, well,
wow.
I'm not gonna lie. I fought it for a long time.
He
just like you.
fighting
I fought it.
I'm still fighting it now. Like I still believe in using your own brain power to do stuff.
There comes a point.
It just takes longer.
There comes a point where time is valuable.
I know.
There's just like
I tapped into Gemini now.
Yeah,
that's
Gemini,
the new one.
That's the new one.
Gemini's the new one.
Yeah.
I tap in with Gemini.
There's so many now that there was an ad that I saw that came out, and it was like everyone goes to ChatGPT, but they don't realize there's hundreds of AIs that can do the same thing and better. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like we did that fast.
And it's a little terrifying. I'm not gonna lie.
It's
a little terrifying, but at the same time, I'm like,
refer back to episode whatever the fuck that was.
It's terrifying. But also, it's like time is valuable, and if you can quantify your time. Especially as a content creator now.
Yeah, I know.
There are some things that you're like, I'm just going to let you do this because
I've accepted some AI tools on a lot of different facets of our operation and my operation in general. Some of my even, and I hate to make this sound like, but it is what it is, people. You got to understand what this life is. Like some of my scripts, some of the posts I put out are AI generated.
Absolutely.
It's my ideas. It's my ideas, and I'm just like, plug this shit in so I can figure out how to word this shit properly, how to make it connect, and then fucking deliver. Like again, you're
doing a great job. Your output has gone up, exponentially. Because you don't have to take that extra 2 hours to fill out the script. And all it's like you're doing it faster.
But there are still some that I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm doing this to myself. And I feel like the ones. For me, the ones that, and I track my engagement and stuff, the ones that are the most successful for me are the ones where it's like me doing it.
Well, I think that's just your acting is got to get better. You maybe do the.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you give me, and this is probably why I couldn't be a fucking actor or actress. Like when you give me the script and it's like I didn't think of this shit, I don't connect to anything. Then it's just like I'm saying words.
That is a skill.
Right, which is a skill that I don't have. Like I shoot balls and put them in baskets. Like that kind of shit was what I'm more used to, the physical skills. But you give me a script and then it's like I got to try to do this shit on camera and make this shit connect with whoever the fuck is watching this shit. It's a different thing rather than like me writing it out, and it's like, all right, I thought of those words. I might have used ChatGPT to say, like, how do I like what word goes here that's
Mhm.
going to be a little bit more effective, but the concept of everything is like mine. But you know, I
Yeah.
also have like scripts that's like, here's what's trending, say this, post it, and then it should go off. And it's like those are the ones to me that's like harder to get into, just because I don't
Now,
feel
Priscilla, do
connected
you
to the
have
material.
like I would say just a quick little like tip or tricks that we can utilize in order to help us in our acting when it comes to stuff like that? Maybe you could. She's like, we got the goat right here.
I mean,
Might
that's a
as
good
well,
question.
I don't know
man.
about the goat,
You know
but
what I'm saying? We got it right
he
here.
talks about talking about specifically like with Dwight's thing
Yeah,
with the
in
script
reference to
thing.
just like trying to get that get over that hump of like trying to pull from just lines and trying to perform them at a way that is going to be, transcending and people can connect with it. How do you?
Yeah.
What is your 2 tips you could give us to get us better at that?
Well, it is a little tricky because, like you said, if it is AI, it's writing it, then it's not a human, and it gets a little trickier because I can see what you're saying in terms of it misses a lot of emotion. Whereas like
Mhm.
the scripts that I'm used to, they're written by a person, so they tend to
Right. At least someone
have
is
some
telling a
sort
story
of a
that you can
story.
connect to the
Yeah,
story. Like the AI is just like, here,
yeah,
Right.
this
yeah.
is what's doing well. And what's doing well for like the trends and all that shit, I can understand that. And you do want to be someone that connects with a bunch of people and has as much reach as possible and all that shit. But to me, there's things that I find a little bit more organic to myself
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like I want to put out,
Sure.
For instance, like apparently the demoing a deadlift and talking about the deadlifts is like a thing for the fitness influencer community. Like talk about deadlifts and how to do them properly. And I'm like, all right, well, I know how to do a fucking deadlift properly. Like, make sure your core is tight, make sure your chin, like you looking down at the ground. Like all those little points of it, I can go through easily. I've done it in class. I've done it to clients. But to me, it's like, I know everybody else is doing this shit too.
Yeah.
So why do I want to put out another piece of that just to like go along with the flock, a little bit, and to draw as many people in as possible? With, I can understand for a bottom line perspective, it's like, yeah, talk about this is going to get you in front of more people, then you attract more people to your other stuff that may be a little bit more organic to you. That's where people buy into, like that kind of stuff. So I get why you would do that, but I'm saying I have more trouble connecting to that because it's like cookie cutter shit that's just working. And like we talked about, as far as the acting industry, to putting out the same kind of shit over and over and over again,
Yeah.
it's like, when does something else cut through that's not the same as everyone else, And I'm that way in life. Like, I'm the person that, like when I put on clothes and shit like that, I do follow certain trends, but I often like stay away from brands that everyone else is buying because it's like, I don't want to look like the fucking guy that looks like everybody else. So like that may be I forget what the term is for that shit, but like I'm an oppositionalist in a little bit. So I'm like, I fight a lot of the shit,
Yeah.
So it's a personal thing, I know, but
No, I feel you. I'm the
ChatGPT
same way.
too,
I'm the
like-
same way. I'm the exact same way, and that's why I use like Rebecca, ChatGPT, for brainstorming
Rebecca.
purposes.
Nah, for
Like
sure.
it
does help.
It's like a second person I can brainstorm. Like, hey,
Mhm.
give me some ideas, because I think, kind of to answer your question, but like filtering it through your person and through your body, through your voice, lending yourself as an instrument to it is what people are going to buy into.
Mhm.
There is a little bit of a pay to play element to it, which is, in order for you to play, like you said, you've got to
Exactly.
do the stuff you don't
The
want to
trendy
do,
shit,
the
like-
trendy shit. And it's the same
Yeah.
thing in the acting world. It's like, I don't want to do this, whatever, boring episode of yada yada, but
Mhm.
it's what's going to give you,
No,
visibility, and then you
Exactly.
no
can.
doubt. It's all about
So,
reach. And
yeah,
I'm still
so I
trying
think
to
you just
grow
have
the
to like
reach, so-
know your ultimate goal, and then if you got to go through that way, it's just
Yeah, no, for
the
sure.
algorithms.
And I make shit look good if I'm just like being honest. I
Yeah,
try to
your
like,
output's
I
been
think even
a
when
lot
it's the
better,
corny
yeah.
shit, like I try to deliver and I do it well for the
Yeah.
most part, I think. But inside, I'm just like, here we go. I
You
gotta
got to
set this
die a little
camera up
inside.
and then
Just
talk about some shit that is
surrender
just
to it.
like, yeah, you gotta surrender to it.
I
Literally,
like
you gotta
that.
surrender to the clout games because it's like literally that. Because again, when you bring more people in, then you can get to the real shit that you actually want to
Exactly.
do.
That's what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the medicine inside of the candy, like
Back in the
analogy
day.
that we
Yep.
always talk about.
Episode 11, I think that was.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So tell them where you can find your business before we get to the other shit. We're gonna go current in a second and
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
some of the hot topics, but talk about where they can
So,
find you. Like,
so the children's program is called Playfully Polite, like I said, playfullypolite.com.
Mhm.
And then the college and small business, or not even small business, corporate America training is called The Finer Points, and the website is discoverthefinerpoints.com. So
nice.
find me through there. Yeah.
There we go. And
Might be
social
calling
media
you.
handles. We'll tag you on anything. we
My
put out,
social
but-
media is Priscilla. It's my first name.
It
Thank you
is.
to my mom who
It
spelt
is.
it in Spanish.
It's super simple too.
That's it.
Anytime I put PR, you're the first person that pops up.
I think I'm the only person in the world who spells it that way. Actually,
Really?
if you Google it, yeah.
Wow.
Almost positive.
That's probably why it's so
unless
easy.
somebody named their child after me in the last 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Positive.
How much more time you got? Because we got a couple things we want to talk about from the just the current state of events. Me and Waldo were together for the fight the other night.
Yeah, what a time.
Did you watch it?
I didn't.
You did not.
I didn't watch it.
All right.
It's shocking too. I think I had something that night, or it was Saturday night.
Friday night.
Oh, Friday night. No, then I was home.
You should say when I watch it. It's late. It was late night.
You know what
It was
is?
late as hell.
It was late? Yeah, and I got a 2-year-old, so
Yeah,
that's not.
no. You'd
But
be burnt out.
Wasn't there like another Tyson fight a couple years ago?
There was.
And I felt
With
like
Roy
it was
Jones.
totally.
Roy Jones Jr. That was during COVID. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
54 years old, and
Yeah.
it was a better fight in my opinion.
Was it staged?
It was.
All of it
It's
is
staged, right?
all of it is like when you say stage, what do you mean?
I mean, like they.
It
like,
wasn't WWE.
No,
but it
not like that.
wasn't-
But I mean, like they're like before, like, all right, so here's what
We
we're gonna
might
do.
be
We're gonna
there
sit at
now.
a table.
Mm.
Really, you think?
Share
We
your
might be
points.
That's
there.
why I'm not staying
Share your
up.
points.
That's why I'm
Share
not
your
staying up.
points.
All right, so we'll open
Share
it
your
up for
viewpoints.
conversation. The Mike Tyson / Jake Paul fight occurred Friday evening. Me and Waldo had the pleasure of watching it together. Invited
Pleasure.
a few people few of my close circle to the crib and checked out the fight. Put the new TV in there. So I was like, all right, let's do a little fight party tonight and see how it goes. So obviously it was on Netflix, which, goes out to the whole world as long as you're
Yeah.
subscribed to Netflix. There wasn't like a pay-per-view situation or like a site that you had to go to. Like every Netflix is easily accessible for
Which is
everyone.
shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes along with what we was, talking about earlier about how everything is so subscriber driven and these
Okay.
platforms and all that. But the fight occurred. And as we know, it went the way it went. Mike Tyson did not win the fight. Jake Paul won the fight by decision. It lasted 8 rounds. Waldo didn't think it was gonna last 8 rounds. I said Mike could go 8 rounds. He did go 8 rounds. So
Barely.
Barely.
he made it though. He made it. He went all 8 rounds.
Okay.
But
We'll
didn't he
give
have
him
like?
that.
Wasn't he really sick? Like a few months ago.
That is what I was going to open up for in a moment.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that now because I guess, I'll let you get your shit off in a moment, Waldo. My perspective on the fight is that Netflix, one, you need to up your servers or whatever the fuck you are trying to do to
Facts.
put on because it's not the first time you tried to do some shit live and it did not go the way you planned it to go just because the influx of people that are coming to watch the event.
Come on. now.
Multiple times that shit was skipping. We had to back out the app maybe like how many times?
Or
How
at
do they not
least
know
At
that?
least 4.
at
How do
least
they not
4
know
Five.
times.
Like, and they're not the first people to try to do some shit like this. Amazon does this shit and
Yeah.
they go off without a hitch for the most part.
Well, Amazon's got the whole backing of Jeff Bezos and the billions of dollars.
Sure,
too.
but I think Netflix at this point should have enough money to be able to figure that shit out a little bit better than what they are doing now.
Apparently not.
Currently, But again, I don't work there, so I don't know. I would just say from a viewer perspective, I pay for the expensive internet because I have to upload a lot of content and I want to do it quickly so I know my shit can handle the fight.
Right.
And for it not to be able to handle the fight, it was a little bit discouraging. It did skip multiple times throughout all the fights that we actually watched.
Yeah.
We didn't watch the actual. Oh, well, you got there late. We watched the Laker game first because the early undercourt cards. we
Shouts to
weren't really
LeBron
fucking with.
James.
I mean, yeah, whatever. NBA
Why
Cup
you gotta
victory.
hate on Bron,
We
man?
minimal sports today. Minimal sports
All right,
today.
all right.
Outside of the boxing, but the fight skipped a lot. So Netflix, you gotta do something about that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to have to watch that shit spinning in the middle, trying to buffer the whole fucking time. Like, let the fight run, and it would have been a lot more pleasing of an experience. I would say the undercard fight before the Mike Tyson and Jake
The
Paul
co-main
fight
event. Yeah.
was even more impressive than
Then the.
the fight was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was those women.
Katie Taylor
Shouts to them, man.
and Serrano, who ended up losing the fight.
She got robbed.
Controversial decision, I think, but way better fight.
Hmm.
But as far as the Mike Tyson fight, I do think that it is something that they feel like they had to get off just for the moment or whatever, or the bag or whatever it was. Because Mike Tyson himself came out after the fight, spoke about his health issues leading up to. I'll read his statement. This is one of the situations when you lost, but you still won. I'm grateful for that night. No regrets to get in the ring one last time. He said after the fight, maybe it wasn't the last fight. I think he needs to just hang it the fuck up.
Yeah, I think at some point they need to retire. People need to learn when to retire. Jennifer
Even more
Lopez,
so
retire.
after the next paragraphs, which said, I almost died in June. I had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in the hospital, and had to get healthy to fight. So I won. Basically saying he got in the ring of
he
fought.
did though.
To have my children see me stand toe to toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter, asterisk on that talented fighter shit. Half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboy Stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for. Thank you. With a little praying hands emoji.
It's a beautiful statement.
After him saying that, because we do know they pushed back the fight for his health reasons, I didn't realize he almost fucking died. Like, to have 8 blood transfusions, you was probably close to, like, checking the fuck out. So for him, with all the people that said, oh, Mike Tyson's performance, et cetera, like, we was expecting a different kind of Mike, like, that man probably thought about backing out of that fight multiple times.
Yeah.
So for him to even get in that ring is a win from my perspective. And Mike's done enough for me. And I said this before the fight while I was watching it. I don't care what the fuck happened tonight. Mike is a legend. Like, do I want to see my legends go out getting knocked out or some shit like that? No. But I think he played the fight as best as he could to make it through the 8 rounds, even if it wasn't up to people's expectation of how the fight was going to go. I also think even after this coming out and knowing a little bit more about the situation, I think Jake Paul knew some of that shit that was going on with Mike because we realized from the post-fight interviews that they was cool the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Which is why I said we might be a little bit more towards the WWE point, because normally you don't see that from two people who's going to go head-to-head in a fight. Even if they have prior rapport, it seemed like they had even kicked it multiple times before the fight went off. You know?
Like, there's usually more of a rivalry.
Yeah, it seemed like that. Like, he's shouting out his team. Like, and I know Mike's a legend, so you're always gonna pay homage to the people like that. But Jake Paul after the fight saying like, "Yo, you're a legend. You've done so much to me." Shouts to your team and naming people on Mike's team. Like, it seemed like they really had like a close rapport leading up to the fight. And to me, it's like, yo, we just got to get this shit off a bag. Like, I'm not going to try to wail on you and knock you out, which we saw. Like, even Rosie Perez during the fight was like, I don't know why Jake Paul is not just, like, wailing on Mike right now. And for me, knowing more about his health conditions, it seemed more so like, we just got to get this shit off. Like, I'm going to get paid $40 million. Like, it's going to be a big success monetarily for both of us. So let's just do that shit.
That's the thing. I read something that said, like, that Jake, basically this was a way for him to get, like, not for him to give Mike Tyson money, but for Tyson, because Tyson wasn't, like, in debt.
Yeah.
And so it was a way for him to get money.
Have his troubles.
A lot of money.
It's a way for him to help get some money. And I mean, I can respect. I saw some video of like Jake, like, kind of in the ring, like, bowing down to him, like, giving him his accolades. So, yeah.
At the end of the day, right? I watch WWE, so I enjoy it. So it's like I don't mind WWE either.
That shit ain't hurting.
But at the end of I knew going into this fight that there's limitations to what it could be, right? And when I look at
he's
the
58,
whole,
like from the jump.
Yeah, but you know, look at I think the Paul brothers, not just Jake, but Logan as well, they are masters of
marketing,
seizing the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have been doing it. They've been on our tip of our tongues for the last 10 years, probably.
For sure.
They can maneuver and monetize unlike probably anybody else in the game. Like, the kids are drinking their drink now, the prime drink. They got them on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Now they're on Netflix. The other ones on WWE. Like, they just know how to keep themselves in the stir of what's going on,
which is a talent. I will say that
it's masterful to the point to the tune of $40 million.
Yeah,
for one 16-minute boxing match, you're doing something right. If anybody won, it's the Paul brothers. They won because they continue to do it, and we keep like subscribing or
we keep watching.
We keep doing it. We know it's bull. We know it's not, but we still keep. We want to see him get knocked out. We want to see. It's like this never-ending story of him just choosing the right people to play along to do these things, and we go like, "This is gonna be the one," and it doesn't happen. So I'm like, only thing I'm grateful for is that there was no additional money spent. I already had Netflix, so I didn't have to do anything extra.
That's a fact.
So it's like,
I would have been a lot more
pissed
if it was like a pay-per-view where you got to pay the
exactly.
$79.
Now I could have done without Mike Tyson's butt cheeks, but
Mike is a wild boy.
You didn't see that?
Like,
okay, yeah,
I did see
Mike
that.
is a wild. I don't know how. If you didn't see that, you live under a rock.
All right. So if anything out of this, it's to me, Netflix is who lost Netflix lost because they've once again shown that they cannot step up to the plate
But they
and put
won
on
still though.
giant productions
Netflix still
in a
won.
professional way.
Mm.
Next time I see a live thing, I might just wait until it's there and I can go click it and watch it at my own time and they clean everything up. Kind of like what the Super Bowl did when Alicia Keys said,
With the Usher performance,
and her note was missed.
Oh yeah,
And they
yeah,
totally
the other
edited
and they
shit,
edited it and
Yes,
they
they
brought
did.
it back.
Yes, they did.
And I'm like, oh, so that's how we doing.
Yes,
We
they
rewriting
did.
history now.
Oh, yes, we
Copy.
are.
We don't do nothing real no more. We do the
Mm-mm.
fake
Wait, but
copy.
I don't think it's ever been real.
Well, that's a whole nother conspiracy theory. We gonna transition to the government and
We
and
got
making
enough
things
of
fake.
that in a moment.
Yeah, we're gonna do that in a moment. But what I'm
What?
saying is, I just look at Netflix as like, yes, they gonna win because it's viral and they da. But people don't see Netflix as the place to bring top tier stuff. They have a chance for redemption with the new NFL games that are coming for Christmas. They're
Yeah.
putting NFL games.
I was just
on
gonna go there.
Netflix.
Like, if
Yeah.
they get that shit right, then you lead it.
Maybe, but
I don't think they're gonna get as much viewership for that.
But
though.
let's be real though. Can you imagine on Christmas Day, everybody cues their Netflix up and for the game,
freeze.
and
yeah, they done.
and it's like,
Yeah.
They done after that.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Netflix is cooked for anything live. After
Exactly.
that.
Live
Yeah.
it's never been their
No,
strong
no,
suit.
no.
I'm just saying. So they got a chance for redemption, but right now I'm off them with the live stuff. We'll see what happens on Christmas Day.
We'll
But-
see.
Well,
I don't think
hope
they're
so.
gonna get that many viewers for that, because this shit, like, the NFL is American,
Yeah.
most, like, and that shit was like 191 countries or some shit
Well,
like
where
that.
are you gonna watch the games then? Because that's a Christmas tradition is to throw the games on while.
I know it's a
everything
fact,
is-
but I'm
yeah.
saying handling the servers handling the USA versus the servers handling fucking from Bali and all the other places is a different thing too.
Nah, because then the Love Is Blind was USA and they still failed.
They was early in the live game.
Did you watch the Love Is Blind?
They was
live?
early in the live game at that point. I feel like
Still,
they
they-
didn't try to do that many shit live back.
I'm
That
just
was
saying,
2 years ago.
It
at
just
this
seems
point.
like they're still
Almost 2
still,
years ago.
They
still
figured
messing
it
up.
out.
Oh no, that's a fact. They gotta get this shit together. I'm saying they should be alright for this USA specific sport with the NFL games on Christmas. But we'll see.
We'll see. I have little faith.
But either way, shouts
Want
to
to take
Mike
the over or
Tyson.
the under? You want a dollar bet?
A dollar bet that is gonna freeze.
It's gonna freeze.
I got dollars gonna freeze.
After this, I take the dollar bet that is not. Just because.
So you
Because
got
it was
dollar
such
that's
a
not.
big deal.
This is a big fucking deal.
Okay.
There was a laughing
I-
stock of the fucking.
All I
internet
need
for
is
the night.
one. All I need is one freeze.
One
Nah,
freeze.
you can't
Oh,
do
one
that
freeze.
because we can't count. That might be the internet. That might be the internet.
No, come on. You said you got a
Go
good
check
internet.
on Twitter. Check on Twitter. If the
True,
freeze happens.
right? But if I go on
All right,
there and
so-
everybody
so-
shit freezing, because all I did was open up my phone and I saw multiple memes
So
during the fight
we
to
need,
say,
we need what? It being recognized by
Yes.
a
Yeah,
I'm saying like a
yeah.
news source.
yeah.
Yes.
Or somewhere else that's
Or just the
reporting it.
internet. Like once
Internet.
the memes start coming
If
out,
it's-
like
if a
here we
meme
go
or
again,
two-
Netflix and like
Okay,
the funny-
copy that.
Yeah,
I'll
if
take
that's
a
the-
dollar
That's a
bet.
good
dollar
one.
bet.
Dollar bet.
I'll give you that.
Check
But
on it.
they should have their shit together a little bit more. So
I
we'll
want
see what
my
that looks
dollar
like.
And Chris, I
You
I
can
want a
get your
Sacagawea.
dollar on Cash App.
Sacagawea.
You can
I
get your
want a
dollar on Cash App. I'm
Sacagawea
gonna send you a dollar.
Nah,
on
$1.19.
Cash App.
That's
So I can take it out of the account.
No, you got 24 hours.
No, the dollar. If it's a dollar, I need the surcharge.
Just put the
pull
2
it
to
out.
3 days, and it's gonna go into your account
So you
without the
wanna
fee.
make me wait 2 or 3 days for my dollar to get to my account? You
I
crazy.
could not pay you at all, but I ain't gonna be that guy.
See,
But,
this guy is stiffing me on 19 cents.
but yeah, man, shouts to Mike Tyson. You're a legend. I appreciate you trying to get in the ring. Like, just sit the fuck down, please. Like, you've done enough in boxing.
I want
You've
him to
done
do more
enough.
commentary though. I
Yeah,
want him
he
to
could
talk.
do that.
Sure.
I want him to talk
Yeah.
because when he speaks from his heart, it's powerful.
Yeah.
What's the little girl name that does the interviews? The one
Yeah,
that's fucking
she
around?
did one with him.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
That shit was dope. I ain't gonna lie.
It was fire.
She might have been scared, but
She said she wasn't. She said, I'm from
oh,
Brooklyn.
she talked after.
He's from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm not gonna be scared.
I bet. Cool.
loved
So
it.
everything
I
is
loved
peace.
it. It was
But his
fire.
response to that whole situation, like the whole question, a line of questioning she was trying to put him through was like amazing. I think
Yeah.
it was great for like a
She's
young
great.
person to hear that. And
She's
she
great.
is ahead of her years, I
Mhm.
think,
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
But I did love that whole thing. But I want to hear Mike talk, but stop fighting, bro. Please.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep doing this over and over again to prove to yourself, like whatever you're dealing with internally that makes you feel like you need to prove something to yourself, just put that shit away, bro. You've done enough in the
Yeah.
game, in the sport, and for us as the consumers. I know it's not about us, which is what he tells us all the time, but you know, just hang it up, bro. You're a legend, and that's all we can
I
hang our hats
appreciate
on that
that.
for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Mike fight again. I'm sorry. I'm not.
You
I
don't wanna see
wouldn't
him
want to
fight
pay for a
again.
rematch.
Yeah,
I know people.
I wouldn't pay for it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, nah. I don't want to see it again. Like, cause then it's like I don't like to see my legends like have
Yeah.
to keep doing that shit over and over. Like
Yeah.
we talked about with the Denzel shit earlier. Like, bro, like you can hang it up now and
It's
I'm
just
good.
done. Yeah, just done.
I'm alright. You
I
gave
still
me
like
enough
seeing Denzel
casting.
act, though, honestly.
That's a fact. I'm saying,
Yeah.
but if he chose to, because he did allude to like, I'm done with this shit after this next line of I want to play Othello. I want to play like when he said those movies that he wants to do and then he's done, which to me is still like another at least 5 to 10
Yeah.
years because it wasn't. It was like 5 movies at least.
Yeah.
When I know that shit takes time, for me, it's like, bro, you can hang that shit up now and I'm good. Like you gave me enough already throughout my life to appreciate
I'm trying to
everything.
think, is there a new Denzel?
Somebody asked that on another platform, which I ain't gonna get too much love right now, but I found that an interesting question. No.
What about Michael?
Michael who? B.
B.
Jordan? No.
He's pretty good.
He is. No shade to him, nah,
Yeah, but I don't think he's.
He's not
Denzel is like
no.
he's like a time like
Yeah.
piece kind of like. There's nothing you're
Yeah.
gonna find like him ever again. Like with that much range, that much ability, that much longevity. Like
Yeah.
I was little as hell when I first seen Denzel movies. Like
Mhm.
I'm a grown man, 38 years old now right now. Name a black actor one that has that long of a run.
Morgan
Like,
Freeman?
yes, sure.
But
But second
saying
is
you
name a
already
black
have-
actor with that much level of like deliver classics. And Morgan
Yeah.
Freeman,
Samuel L.
no shit-
Jackson?
Sure, two.
I'm
There's
not
not
giving
many.
you a couple, like, I'm just throwing them off
There's
there.
not many,
Yeah.
but even Denzel, I think he outshines both of those careers
Yeah.
and everything he's done.
That's a tough one right there for me.
And it ain't,
Outshine?
yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, we can have that argument later, but
I know, I'm just
Denzel
giving
movies,
you- I'm giving-
like
I'm
the
giving you-
range and the ability for like to like transfer different roles to film and that like stuff,
Yeah.
like bro,
Yeah.
unlike anything you've ever seen him in the lifetime. Like he's a 1-on-1, I think. I don't think, and there's no
Interesting.
shade to a lot of other people because there's great actors out there that play great roles and really connect, like you said, emotionally with the viewers.
I love Denzel.
But like I don't really see nobody doing that.
Interesting. All right,
Or-
that's fair.
But you know. Either way, I like my greats to just hang it up and just ride off to the sunset at one point. Like
I like them to crash and burn. Keep going until you can't go no more. That's what I like, personally. I want you to go until you, like, give it every ounce that you have in you.
This is why he likes LeBron James so much, because this motherfucker just won't hang it up.
Almost 22 years now, 40 years old.
Exactly.
Still going.
Right.
Actually getting better with his three-point percentage, too, by the way.
That ain't
But
gonna last.
what I'm saying
It's not
is,
gonna last all
if you
season.
give it your all, there's nothing left on the dance floor. I love that.
If it's something for
I love
you that you want to continue to do, then I'm never gonna say, bro, don't fulfill that itch. Because the one thing that you look back on in life and say that, which is why for me, and I connected to this podcast, I wanted to start this podcast like I told you years ago.
Yeah.
And it's an itch that I'm like, it ain't going away. So if that's something that you have to keep doing, then
Yep.
do what you got to do for as long as you want to. But when you like, all right, I'm good with it. I'm done. I'm hanging it up. I've been in Hollywood for 10 years. I'm okay, like, with whatever else goes forward. I played professional basketball for 10 years. I'm okay with whatever the path is going forward, even if it hurts a little bit because you're just
Yeah.
doing something completely different. But, like, once you do something for long enough and you got everything out of yourself, then hang
Exactly.
that shit the fuck
You're
up.
ready to hang it up when you're done, but let it be on your own terms.
Yeah,
at least.
on your own terms.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
Yeah.
Colonel Sanders started KFC in the 60s, so
Yeah.
if he could do it, we can too. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
a fact.
Buy
That's
me
a
a piece of
fact.
chicken.
All right, so Netflix out the way.
Yeah.
We spoke about it. We're gonna get real, I guess, conspiracy-ish real quick. I don't know how long I want to spend here because if I say too much, they might come for us, and I
They
don't
might
want-
demonetize.
They might. They just might.
I'm just saying.
And this is one that I'm bringing up, and we'll spend however long on it before we get to real talk, and I guess not too long. But the UAPs, which is what they're called now. You didn't see the congressional hearing.
I did not.
All right, cool. So, what are they called? Unidentified anomalous phenomena is what they're calling them now, rather than UFOs. Which
I don't know why they have to keep changing it.
I don't know.
It's just so
I don't know
ridiculous.
either, but I do think it's because the water situation now. But
Oh,
the
that's right, that's what we
congressional
said.
hearing about the government intelligence agencies, which operate outside of the government, with the whole like them saying pretty much we got aliens and they've been hiding
Yeah.
that shit from us for the longest. Like
So Men in Black was a documentary.
Pretty much. Yeah.
this could be true.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know they say that like they put movies out there to kind of prime The
public
audience.
for
the public.
Is that something
art
from Hollywood?
imitates
Like,
life.
are you
I
saying?
told you. I told you.
Art imitates life, yes.
See?
And they put stuff out there like, to new technologies or that already exist. Now, I'm not saying this factually. I'm just saying
That's your conspiracy
this is my
theory.
conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
They put stuff out there that already exists to kind of prime you for what's coming in the next 5, 10 years. But it already exists. But they're just like priming you so that way when it shows up, it doesn't freak the public out. It's like, oh, we saw that in a movie.
Oh, so it's television
familiarity.
programming. Got it.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm fucking my
Yeah.
head up right now, and I'm gonna go deep conspiracy if I go too far into it. So I'm gonna lean
Please.
away from it.
Oh, I can go.
What do you got? What do you got? I love hearing.
I
What
can
if
go
the
deep.
aliens have been prepping us for this shit like for years now, and
Yeah.
now is the time where it's like,
It's perfect time.
yeah.
Well, it's kind of, the whole like simulation thing. Like, we live in a simulation?
Oh, that's a whole other conversation.
Like a Westworld? Like, are
I
we
love the
Potentially.
cons in
Westworld
the- yeah.
TV show.
Potentially,
by the way. Great
but
show.
what if the aliens have had some level of like control on how much gets put out, and then maybe the aliens was in Hollywood and it was like, yo, let's put out this Men in Black flick because sooner or later we're gonna really pop out on y'all and y'all gonna know that we really here, like that type of shit. And that just came to me like just now. Yeah, like
Nothing, honestly,
Just
nothing
kidding.
would shock me.
Nothing would shock you.
Not in this day and age.
Here's
no.
the thing. I think it can't be as wild and crazy as Men in Black, right? I don't think it can be as that level, but I do
You mean like the little dude who lived in the head, the ear, like
yeah. I don't think
face
it's
came
that,
over?
but I do believe that there is, I guess, certain alien DNA that came from outer space. There's certain like.
bro, they saying these shits is flying around, like
I agree with
and
that.
coming
I
out
agree
the
with that.
ocean.
But
like,
they also
That's
said,
the thing.
why are we thinking?
they're alluding to there being
Why are we thinking it
pods
has to be
deep down in the ocean?
like it's the anatomy isn't going to be the same. I don't think it's going to be like what we're thinking it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, and that's what I'm trying to get away from. It's like, yes, we see things flying,
Oh, you mean what they look like?
but what you
physically?
physically look like, I don't think it's something that like. Because if they have been able to move through space, they probably have conquered another element of dimension that we still haven't reached in terms of cognitive understanding. So I think they're able to maneuver and move outside of the
Time, of space and time.
to get.
So there's a conspiracy that aliens are, I don't want to say us, but they are humans that are
Interstellar.
future
Interstellar.
who are coming
Sending
back to
message
tell
back. Yep.
us like, don't fuck it up.
That's what I
because
was
that's
gonna
what we
say.
did.
They look like us. If I was to, because I don't think they might be like the big
Like a
head with the
blob.
blob
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. If they are, then whatever. But
Yeah.
I do think that they might fucking look like us. Like,
And that's very true. And,
Which
and
is why
very
they're able to
but
live
it's hard for
amongst
me to
us.
like worry about that when I realize like these bills still gotta get paid, twin. Like we
I'm
gotta
the
make
same
it like at the same time.
but I also think the timing of it is very odd because if you watched, and I know y'all didn't watch the full shit, but if you watched the congressional hearing where they had the people like telling the stories and all that, a lot of people on Congress, the ones that was listening to the witnesses, was talking about how there's such a distrust for the government and such a distrust for like our like. Well, where we're at as a people, people ain't fucking with it. So I think that it's
not.
odd now that we
They got it
got
out there.
aliens that potentially are living here on the planet or coming into the planet and interacting with.
I see Earth
And
as
it's
a
always
way station, not necessarily like they leave their fuel here, pick up. They're not worried about us. Grab their stuff and
But
head
they
on
worried
out. Get
about
the
us though,
resources and then
what they
roll
keep
out.
saying is that all the incidents or the ones that have happened with the people that was witnesses are like in around like government things, like they're coming to the bases, like military bases. One thing was like a naval thing off the coast of something, like so they're like they say that from what it seems like they checking out like the people that govern us or the people that can defend us. As far as like, let's run some intel and figure out what the fuck is going on here. Let's fly amongst these jets and see what kind of capabilities they have, like all that kind of shit. So
what if it's like a foreign country who like has developed this, like these aircraft or these other technologies that we don't know
it
about?
could be that. That would be a lot safer. But when people are on the congressional hearing and they're saying it's it's not of this world. The technology is so advanced that it's not
Yeah.
even something that we're trying to re-engineer it.
Yeah.
They're trying to rebuild what they learned and found out because it's
one
that
of the shits, not
advanced.
to cut you off, but along that same point, one of the shits that happened wasn't even like in the States. They found that shit. It was, I forget where the fuck it was. It was somewhere, I want to say somewhere Asian, but it was like they got or was it Middle East? It might have been Kuwait. Like, I forget where, but either way, they were saying like one of the helicopters from a foreign like place was flying around and they saw like orbs coming up out of the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
And they somehow grabbed the footage from the foreign, they got it somehow and it wasn't our shit. So foreign technology seems a little bit out of play.
I'm just throwing that out there. I personally believe, we mentioned this before, Bob Lazar, he talks all about it and how he used to work for the government. And have you heard his story? It's wild.
I've heard bits and pieces. I don't listen to Joe Rogan as much as I probably should.
It's his story in particular. I mean, it was years ago that he had him on. It was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and he's probably had him on since. But his story is fascinating because no one has
debunked it.
No one has debunked it. And he talks about stuff that, like, I mean, he talks about how he walked by this room and saw this spacecraft, yada yada. He talks about an element. I forget what they call it. So it's like an element that's not on the periodic table.
It doesn't
exist here. Yeah. And that, like, all this, and that makes at the time, I guess UFO they'd call it because it was a flying object, but it makes it move. It makes it move in a way that we don't know how to propel things in that manner.
Yeah.
And the technology,
it's an outside of what our understandings are at the current.
And the way he speaks so matter-of-factly, and even like the fact that the government tried to clear all of his like history, there's a lot of weird stuff that happened to him. I'm like,
yeah, and that's why I'm like, at the same time, it's such a grand and macro view. When I go micro, and I'm like, all right, I got to make sure I get to work on time. There's gas in my car. Milk is $6.70. Like, I need to do the things that I can control. I can't control aliens.
No,
Maybe they come in to save us from all that shit.
You know what I'm saying? And if they come in to us, like, we gonna fuck with them. I can see them doing TikTok dances with us. Like, hey, we gonna be hanging with the aliens soon.
They might be coming to save us from all that shit.
I'm hoping, right?
Give us the new element, and then we can make some shit that could make society
clear cancer. Maybe I don't know. There's so many things we gotta worry about.
De-inflate
that
the inflation.
Aliens is the last thing.
Yeah.
Let's get this credit score up.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get a house.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, I'm worried
everything
about
still
other
is the same, but it would really fuck up everybody's day if we found out aliens was real.
No. I already know they're real.
Yeah.
It ain't fucking my day yet. What's fucking up my day is that these bills don't get paid, the light get cut off.
A lot of people don't think they real though.
They can think what they want.
A lot of people don't.
They can think what they want.
That's interesting.
I don't think they have the bandwidth.
That's what it is.
I don't think they even like real.
And milk costs the same for those people too. So like,
exactly, but they're like, look, the alien could be real all day, but you gonna get in this house and finish doing what you got to do.
I'm telling you, they
like,
here to save us.
There's too much other stuff.
They're gonna save us from all that shit. Like,
I'm hoping. I'm inviting the aliens. Come on over, right? We make a mean macaroni and cheese. We just did the TikTok with the spaghetti with the spaghetti sauce and the fettuccine. Fire. Y'all had that yet? It's a viral TikTok.
Spaghetti sauce
and fettuccine Alfredo?
Oh, it's so good.
Huh.
It's like a bake. And you put the spaghetti noodles with the ground turkey. We don't do
a red sauce?
with the red and the white sauce.
And the white sauce.
It's a blush kind of like John.
Okay.
It's fire.
Oh, blush. It's a blush sauce.
Yeah, I mean, so
coming
again,
to a Thanksgiving table near you.
We come on down and we can have some nice little.
You want to break breads with the aliens?
I don't want to break bread, but if you gonna come, I might as well be hospitable. I might as well be hospitable.
They gonna take you to one of them pods. They say it's humans living down there in the pods with them. Like
the pod. What pod are we talking about? Only pod I worry about is the EFS pod. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
But like physical pod, they was alluding to there being pods deep in the ocean, and there are humans down there.
I'm cool. I'm cool off that.
Well, I had a great aunt who told this story. She passed away a few years ago, and she would tell this story. My family's from the Dominican Republic, as you know, and you know, I think. Anyway, moral of the story is she would tell this story about how like she and her husband were on like I guess we would consider like the boardwalk in Malecón in the capital or some part of DR, and how she swears to God she saw an alien spacecraft come out of the water. Now, this was back in like the 80s. She would tell this story, and the family thought she was nuts, and they called her like the crazy aunt.
It's from the 80s, but it sounds so
That's what
crazy.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It fucks you up when you realize, and I saw this
Bruh.
stat, and I don't know how, because sometimes I just Google weird shit, and I Googled this shit like the same week as, it was early this week, and I was just wondering, like, how deep is the ocean at its deepest point?
Oh.
Like, the deepest point in the ocean is, I think it's off the west coast of America. It's headed towards, like, that Pacific, like, you know,
Bermuda
Yeah,
Triangle area?
yeah.
I don't
and
know.
I forget exactly what it's called, but the deepest point in the ocean is like 35,000 feet deep. Like,
Yeah.
that's as high as planes
That's where they
fly.
are. That's
There's
where
something in the
aliens are.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what aliens are.
Like, we don't even.
We're not going to go down there.
They
No.
said human
Mm-mm.
beings have discovered 9 to 10% of
Of
the
the ocean.
actual
Yeah.
ocean.
Just from
in
the pressure, we
world.
can't
Like,
even go down
Yeah,
that
exactly.
deep.
Mm-mm.
It would kill us to go down.
Right. So
That's why we say, let's just go to space. Look, because you
Yeah.
can't even go down.
Uh-uh.
You wouldn't be able to make it.
Uh-uh.
So we don't even have, remember the, what's the RIP, the team that went down in the water?
Oh.
And that little
the
thing-
submarine.
Yeah,
boom,
the
and it-
submarine.
and
That
it-
totally.
and
they
it
was
yeah.
tripping. They was
Yeah.
under.
so if
like,
you're talking about going to travel to see
Yeah.
aliens, guess what? You can't even get that deep.
I mean, have you seen an octopus? That thing's an alien.
Yeah.
No.
That thing can get itself out of a
You're
jar.
not wrong. Because
They
I've
can literally
seen
change
that.
their
They
skin
can
color.
change your
like,
skin color. They can get out of a jar. You
Like
can close
that
up in a
too.
jar, and it'll
like that
and
too.
come
I
out of
know.
a jar.
If you see an octopus, that shit
There-
will literally like look the same color of whatever is flashing
And
past.
texture.
Like yeah,
And the
If you
it
texture.
saw
changed
it-
color and texture.
If you saw it on the street and it was our size, then I'm like, oh
Can you
my
imagine
goodness.
a
Yeah.
life-size
A
octopus?
like a adult, like human
Yes.
size squid. And they're big like that too.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
get
yeah,
bigger
yeah. They
than
can get
that.
bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
like
it's coming.
if it was moving like, hey, how you doing?
Oh God.
But it can communicate with us. That's the
Mhm.
part that terrifies me, is that when you get in to collect call from, you know what I mean,
Hey, man.
Zig Zigzagbork, you know what I
Listen.
mean? He's like, hey, yo, can I get
Watch-
the Papa John's with the extra pepperoni on it? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. I'll do that in a couple minutes. That's how Men in
Yeah.
Black, because that's why I'm like, it's not that crazy yet,
I-
where the aliens are like able to like
Yeah.
request things and get things
I
like that.
blame one person for all this shit.
Elon?
Cat Williams.
What? Why?
Wow, that was left field.
Remember at the top of 2024, he said this year you're gonna
The
find
year of
out a lot
truth.
of right.
The
He
year
did
of
a lot
say
of
truth.
that.
shit.
He
Yes,
did say
he
that.
did.
Yeah.
Ever since then, everybody's been letting it all out, right?
Mhm.
It's been
Listen.
going crazy.
Cat Williams.
I
has some
think
shit.
you know what, but he's maybe tapped in. He had the power of discernment.
He's tapped
Cat
into
Williams
I
that.
don't
is
think
one
that
of
was
them.
anything
He's one
against
of
him. I
them.
think he was a messenger on that
Think he's
one.
an alien?
Cat Williams might be one of them,
He's an alien?
You
Yeah.
think Cat Williams is an alien?
bro. If they hear,
If he was, that'd be a good alien to be though.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind Cat Williams coming over for dinner
nah, that's a fact.
as an
Pull up.
alien.
Pull up, but
That's a whole movie
he
right
did
there.
kind of
We can
like
get that script.
lead into all this shit
Let's
happening
get that
at the top
script
of
going.
He
2024.
did. He did.
One
Huh.
interview, and this
And
whole year has
everything
been
was-
fucking
yeah,
nuts.
it's true.
Like,
I love this year. This is a great year though. There's been a lot of
It has
moments.
been a good year.
it
There's been a
is.
lot of moments that have like just been entertaining
Yeah.
and eye opening. And I'm glad we know the truth. I want
Yeah.
the truth. I want to know there are aliens out there.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like, oh well, we can't confirm or deny.
Yeah,
I'm tired
Just
of
tell
it.
me. Yeah.
Just be real. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, a couple aliens came through.
Whatever
We
happens, happens.
we kicked them out of here. One's down in the basement. We're kind of doing tests right now.
Because
But,
if they hostile, we need to be prepared in
Right.
some way, shape, or
and that's what I
form.
don't think. I don't think they need to be hostile to us. What could,
What are we like?
what
what
could
do
we
they-
provide
Because they
them?
probably looking at us
TikTok
like
dancers?
these
Like-
motherfuckers. They hostile enough to themselves. They'll take themselves
Exactly.
out.
We don't
Right.
even. They just need to wait, and
We
they'll
just
have the
gonna
whole
wait
Earth.
this shit out in the ocean. Y'all gonna fuck this whole thing up.
Exactly.
And
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
come,
come up
and then
out of
we'll do a restoration of the
Wow,
planet
we
and use
solved
it for
y'all.
ourselves.
We solved it. We
That's
solved
it.
That could be it.
That I
That's
don't
it.
think they need to do anything. They'll just watch, and I think that's what I think about with us. So I'm like, as long as
They
we
probably
as
watching us laughing.
black
Laughing at
community,
us.
no, but as long as we like take care of ourselves, I think we're gonna be okay. We'll be able to see the aliens and everybody else afterwards. But we got some work to do internally. That's why I'm saying focus on the micro issues that we gotta figure out.
I mean,
Maybe
that's
have a
fair.
little more etiquette.
That's
You see that little plug there?
Hey,
right?
that
Maybe
was
be a little bit
good.
more playfully polite.
That
You know what I'm
was
saying?
good.
And
like
then
that.
we'll get past all of the craziness to the new world where aliens are ruling it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, so hopefully we don't get targeted by the CIA or
You know
any
you're gonna get called
government
in.
intelligence agency.
Oh,
I don't
no.
know shit about
Priscilla, you ready for that?
aliens. I
You got
might
the
have seen
acting
some
chops.
shit
You
at
can
some
handle this.
point,
Sorry.
but
Handle it.
I don't know shit. But
I
I
don't
did see the
recall.
hearing,
That's my
so
biggest
that's
words.
that.
I don't recall.
I don't recall that being said.
Yeah, no, probably not. They did it with the shit. The
Oh yeah, the Men in Black.
That would be great.
What was that
I wish
called?
I
The
had one of those,
nebulizer or
man.
some shit like that?
You said what? The
The
nebulizer?
I don't
nebulizer?
remember what it was called, but I just remember
That sounds right.
I feel like it was like in a McDonald's like Happy Meal thing. Didn't they at one
They
point?
had
Wasn't it
one?
like a toy?
Probably around the release of the movie or something. Maybe.
I could be making that up, but I feel like
The Men in Black.
All right, so with that said, we'll get to the meat on the bone section of our pod.
Meat
Then
on
we'll
the
leave
bones.
you. It's the meaty, the
Okay,
the
let's
substance.
see what you got for us.
Well, there's a lot of substance in this one.
It's a great substance.
We usually get a lot more like, a lot of bullshit talk on here, but this was very great gems all across. But we usually leave the pod with our Real Talk segment, which is something that we like to give to our viewers / listeners to think as we, close down things for the episode. Neuralizer.
Oh, you were close.
All right, cool. Close.
Nebulizers, I think,
Like,
for
yeah, that shit for the asthma. yeah. And that's current technology. So
Exactly, neuralizer.
But either way, Real Talk segment for the day is going to be along with the concept of staying stagnant. And I think that kind of tied into a lot of things that we talked about today without even like it being intentional. So as we've talked about this year, often on this pod, like this has been a very like different space for me in general as a human being in my existence. And what I realized about myself is that I'm a person that does not like to stay stagnant in anything for too long, Short story about myself, like leaving the game of basketball, which we never really got to speak about at that point. Like I felt very stagnant in just my existence. Like you said, the one actor who was like, I'm off this show because I've been doing this shit for so long, I'm bored, Not to say that I was bored, but I did feel like, there was something else going on that I needed to get to in my life personally that was outside of my current industry. And this year, even more so, I feel more drawn towards the next thing, whether it be content creation like this, like, branding myself and my, everything with EFS to be something to present to people in multiple different ways. Like I just realized I'm a person that likes to learn and take on new things, new challenges, just because if I do the same thing for too long and I get too good at it, then it just feels like like not living to my truest self because I can't like sit in something that's like, all right, I got this down already. It doesn't give me the same passion anymore. So as far as the Real Talk segment for today, wanted to open up the conversation about like not staying stagnant and the things that you feel like you are doing and having those transitions throughout life and it just being something that's normal. And for creatives, especially the people that have to put something into the world that's not just like I'm going to a job and sitting behind a desk, it is a space of like internal death a little bit when you just feel like you're just stuck in the same thing for so long. And having the mindset of exploring new spaces, even though it can be scary, is something I feel like we should champion a little bit more, especially for the people that need that for themselves, And I do understand that there are people that are like, give me this box, I'm going to stay inside of it, and hopefully the walls never collapse and I'll be fine in here for the rest of my life, But the outside the box thinkers, which I know you are, and I know you are 100%, just because I know that about y'all personally, I think it's a good topic to kind of open up for in a brief format. Like, what does that mean to you? Like, how long do you feel like you can stay in something before you need the new thing? Like, and you can kind of speak to that for sure because you've done multiple things at this point as far as different industries and now what you're doing currently with the etiquette school.
I don't know, but I'm gonna kick this off to you. I want to hear what you say. We can brainstorm a little bit.
Sure. Well, staying stagnant there's a problem in my mind, at least for me. I don't really move in terms of careers based off of my own decision making, right? I try to tap into a higher source, right? And then use discernment on where he is leading me to go and how he wants me to move. Now, within that, again, like I opened up the pod and I talked about how I'll be at Chick-fil-A and then I take people off the track of what they're thinking. Like I move in a way throughout my life where I put in those pockets and I try to find intersections where I can always break out of the mold of whatever I'm involved with. So you're never going to get a moment where I'm not giving my true authentic self to whatever I'm being put in. So what that allows me to do is to be able to kind of shape whatever I'm in to me instead of me having to shape to it. So it's like, oh, you're going to be doing a training on a certain topic. But guess what? I'm going to be myself in that. So it's going to I'll make it funny, make it lighthearted, make it, entertaining. I might even sing in the training because that's who I am. So wherever I'm doing, I never feel stagnant because I know I'm moving with my true authentic self. But in regards to like where you want to go next and what you're trying to figure out and move towards, I think it's really like I have that time to meditate. I have that time to pray, and I have that time to really ask God, like, what do you want from me? Like, what am I being the most effective in all the gifts that you've given me? And if I'm not, then steer me in a direction where I know that I'm going to be more effective and more helpful. And I know that feeling too. It's like I'm not doing the most. That's more my issue, where it's like, are you doing everything you could do? Did you give it your all? That's all I'm asking. Did you give it your all? And I'm like, nah, I didn't give it my all on that one. I phoned it in. I know I phoned it in, but I go back to the drawing board, and now I'm like, okay, how can I make different choices so that next time I go into this opportunity or next time I move into it, I'm able to give it my all. And when I have at least my integrity intact, when I'm giving it my all, I never can leave whatever I'm doing. I don't care if I'm making sandwiches. Like I can make the sandwich with love. Like I go into McDonald's. I'll go into Wawa, and you can press a button. It's a special order button. And then when you go in there and you press special order, they say, number 57, what's your special order? And I tell them, make it with love.
Oh,
See, look at that.
They're gonna put your face on multiple restaurants. Like when this guy comes in, just know you in
That's
for some
fair.
shit.
But again, there's no way I can be stagnant because I'm being my authentic self. And then a lot of times the reaction isn't that. It's like, wow, yeah, all the time, always. Got you. And I guarantee you that maybe it's just a placebo effect. But every time I get my sandwich done like that, it's 10 times better than the sandwich that I probably would have had if I didn't do my order that way. And I even tell other people, like, what you want in your sandwich? How you want your sandwich? Da-da-da-da, special order. Tell them make it with love. I ain't doing all that. Then don't order my sandwich. I'll go order my own sandwich. Because there's an essence. If love is real, then telling someone to inject love into your food has to be a real thing too. You can't say love is real and then ask for the request and it not be made with that ingredient. That's what I'm saying. The essence of what we're talking about here, staying stagnant, is one thing. But if you're showing up and being your true self each and every day, there's no way you can be stagnant. That's my personal take. But
Good perspective.
Yeah, I like that perspective. There were a lot of things that you said that.
I'm sorry. I was like, do you want me to go first?
No, it was good. It was good. Because I gotta follow it up. And I'm like,
like, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, because when Dwight was talking, it made my brain go one way, and then you started saying things, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's true too. Because I definitely see both sides of it. I similar to you, obviously, when you work. I think the thing is when you work in an industry where you have you have a boss, right? But you have an audience that's your boss, really.
True. Yeah.
And you kind of start to outgrow it, I think, because when you go into it in your early 20s, totally different person. And yeah, it can feel a little bit suffocating because that's not who you were, and you have to maintain that persona. But to your point, that's very true, and I think it kind of says I relate to it in the way that I said before, how I don't identify myself by one type of creativity, and I think that similar to you, I think that I've always been God led. I always have tried to same thing. It's like, God, if this is what you want me to do and the way that you want me to, because I believe creativity stems from him. I think that creativity is seeing something that's not there and making it. And if I believe that he is the ultimate creator, it comes from him, right?
Yep.
So it's a skill set and it's talents that really manifest themselves through my eyes, my perspective, my life experience that I interject into whatever it is. And when it's acting, it's my storytelling. It's my background. I'm bringing that into the character. Nobody else. I always tell my students this. Everybody has the same script, but it's the in between. It's the white spaces, your life experience, your perspective that no one else has.
Yes.
So that other girl is going to have the same line. She's going to say it, in a different way though, because her life is different.
Yeah.
So in that way, I appreciate that element about saying that to just a normal sandwich, experience, because I agree with you. that if you believe that that essence is real and that's, then why not interject it in there?
Why not?
And why not make that a part of your everyday?
Why not?
Because we do go through life very, I don't know, I want to say
Mundanely,
routinely,
right?
mundanely.
Just
Yep.
like,
Yeah, and
Yep.
if you don't kind of turn it up a bit, and I bet you, like you said, you're received positively because you just stirred up that person's day.
Yeah.
And then now
It's
they
infectious.
feel it is infectious.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, energy is infectious. So whether you choose to be negative or positive, you know that it is going to have a ripple effect for
Mhm.
sure. But the staying stagnant thing, for sure, I think as a creative person, and I think a lot more people are creative than they give themselves credit
Oh,
for.
100%.
I think that, and in the age of this whole like content creator thing, I actually appreciate it because I'm not gonna lie, for a while I was super jaded, because I was like, they're coming for my job.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But then I realized, it actually makes it more accessible to a lot of people who don't fit the cookie cutter,
Mhm.
stereotypical, entertainer face or body or whatever it is, or they didn't have the means to go to Los Angeles, or they
Mhm.
didn't have
Exactly.
and now they can set up a tripod or be on their phone here and entertain people in a relatable way. That's really, I think in the end, we always want authenticity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what's missing, I think, from a lot of Hollywood stuff is there's no authenticity there. So people are going to content creators because they're getting it there.
That's why they lean into it, I feel like,
Yeah.
We want
And
the
along
real.
that point, what you said, which was so like profound, like a lot of people don't realize they have the creative bones in their body.
Mm.
Short story, just off of like, Drew, you don't know one of my best friends. Like Drew
Mhm.
just put out an album on iTunes with like AI, like he wrote the
Infused
lyrics.
music. Yeah,
Right.
I know. He told me about it.
Yeah, he put that shit out. He showed me it already.
so proud
but
of him.
Drew, like 1 year ago or so, like he was just working his job, doing this, that, whatever. He's credited like me on my journey to kind of like push him to start doing things outside of what he's normally like used to.
And it's good too.
And he's
Like,
done
he
like
played
content
me
on
some.
TikTok that's got a bunch of fucking views, just some shit that he posted, and then like months later it was just like, oh, a bunch of people found it and like it's like mini viral type shit. And now he's exploring things. He's done like apparel, he does hats and stuff like that, and now
That's
he's like
awesome.
tapping into the whole musical side of things. So like you don't ever really know what you're capable of as a creative unless you like to tap in and to those like those moments where you can create some shit,
Yeah.
for real.
Mm-hmm.
And some people ain't got a creative bone in their body, but again, that doesn't apply to the people we're speaking about. But for the people who are like the creatives, I do think that staying stagnant in it's like a little bit of like internal death, like just because you don't feel like you're able to get off like the things that is next for you because you can't tap into it by staying in the same space, for so long. So
Yeah.
just an interesting conversation, and it kind of sat with me this week, so I wanted to open up for it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, appreciate both y'all's perspective on that. And that said, we'll deliver our quote because we like to end each of our podcasts with a quote for the people.
Yes,
And
please.
today I am responsible for it because Waldo Black went last week because he missed the week
Ah.
before that. So today's quote is going to come from, I don't want to butcher his name, but it is Moshe Feldenkrais. He's a Ukrainian-Israeli physicist who is responsible for the Feldenkrais theory, which in the fitness space or like, that lane, he did a lot for human movement.
Mhm.
And a lot of like people who are tried and true fitness people kind of follow him. So the quote for today reads, "You can't teach anyone anything. You can only create the conditions in which they can learn."
Run that back. Run that
One more
back.
time. You can't teach anyone anything. You can only create the conditions in which they can learn.
Wow.
I think that's profound enough just because it does kind of make sense to people who actually learn shit. Like, and there are a bunch of different ways to learn things in life, but like the people who are great teachers often don't like sit there and lecture you about what like to do or what you're supposed to learn. They just put you in spaces to where your own mind has to figure out the solution.
Yeah.
And he's relating this into like an athletic sense to where like you can't really teach the athlete how to get better. You just create the space for them to figure out what to do that's going to increase their performance, like in general, or the movement patterns and like how to get better at that stuff. So it stuck with me this week, and I want to deliver
That's
it to
beautiful.
y'all. So I hope that it
I like
connects
that.
with you guys, the
A
viewers,
lot.
the listeners out there. So as we close this thing out, one more time, we want to give a big shout out and thank you for coming to grace our platform, for Presilah, for all the gems.
The clap track is killing me.
They go crazy over there.
Thanks for
They go
putting up.
crazy
Thanks
over
for
there
coming
for you.
through.
You
We
know what I'm saying?
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, friend of the show, of course. Friend of mine for a long time. I've been at her house. She's also a agriculturalist. She has, you know, goats and
I do animals.
livestock and stuff on
fun
her house.
farm.
She's got
Yeah.
horses, all different kind of things out there.
Listen.
Yeah, so it's a cool spot. Cool spot. And I'm a city kid, so seeing all that
That's
was
another
like,
thing too, another layer. Like
Right.
spontaneity wise,
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
have some other stuff outside of career and you know what I mean, success in
Mhm.
terms of the just having other mediums can be helpful with that as well.
And that's the thing too is like, sorry, we're like going back.
I know
into
we're
the
trying to be
conversation.
wrapping up. I'm
We're
sorry.
trying to leave, but we're trying to go back. But that's another thing too is I feel like people when they think creativity or get stuck stagnation, right? The one mindset. You've got to have other things going on. You have to live a full life because you pull from that.
Yeah,
you know, like if
exactly.
you want to have kids, go have kids. If you want to have kids, go have. They give you so much more than it embraces your world. Or I'm sorry, it widens your world. I'm trying to say, broadens your world. But yeah, I mean,
we didn't even touch the whole family dynamic and marriage and love.
Listen, man,
Maybe I come back another episode. I don't know if you
talk
enjoy
about relationship. That's another conversation.
We gonna hold another pod on that one.
Yeah.
We had
Might be,
the original plan, and I'll tell you this because it didn't work the way it was. The week that you were supposed to come was when we did the.
Oh, the 4 or 5 of us?
Yeah,
that'd been nice.
I wanted her to come and kind of lean into
Girls
like
talk.
relationship talk and like man versus woman stuff because we have had some conversations about that I found interesting as well. But I think this went perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a
I'm
great
not
episode.
mad at that.
Really appreciate
at
you,
all.
Priscilla, coming
thank
in.
you.
But definitely
sharing your story.
appreciate y'all coming in. You coming in, excuse me, and appreciate y'all for tuning in.
Yeah.
So as always, if you made it this far into the audio/visual, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We love the love over here at the EFS podcast. And as we bid you adieu on episode number 40, we're always going to tell you to stay safe in this crazy world and guard yourselves mentally, spiritually, and physically, and all things in between. And as always, be great in anything you do. We'll catch you for the next episode. But for now, the EFS podcast episode number 40 is out. Peace.
It's a wrap. Appreciate you.